Good Monday to you and welcome. And today we are broadcasting live. We're at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino, and we are in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Here today for a special event. They've got table gaming, which is coming back, and we can talk about that. However, Bally Sports, which we all know, who airs the Bucks games and the Brewers games, they got an event going on down here. And one of the recipients, charity-wise, is the charity that I am a proud board member of. And that's Fisher House, Wisconsin. So they asked us if we would come by. And I said, you know what? I can't make it for the presentation because I'm on the air. So they said, well, that would be great. What if we brought the presentation to you while you're on the air? So, okay. So we're doing our show today. We're in the 360 Lounge, which is not open just as of yet. But nevertheless, we'll be a little bit later on today. But we're here, and we're enjoying already casino this morning. And I've got table gaming going on behind me for those looking over my shoulder, and a lot of cool stuff in this place as they continue to open back up. It was on many of the casinos in the state of Wisconsin, very hard on many of them as COVID hit, and they're now trying to come out of this and figure things out and keep protocols in place and be very cognizant of things. So one of the big announcements was that table gaming is back, and the sports betting is back as well here, and they are going to do some charitable things. Just to say thanks to the people that, continue to support them and hanging in there. And one of the charities happens to be mine. So it all worked out. What a weekend it was. There's so many things that I thought were intriguing. The question is, Ben Kenny producing the show back in the studio. Are the Badgers back on track? Ben, are they back on track?
The short answer is absolutely.
That was impressive, the win over the weekend. Graham Mertz, obviously a much better game, looked a lot better, played with more confidence, I thought. And I thought defensively they're outstanding, which is just a tremendous team. But I thought, man, that was an impressive win. Now, as people in Iowa are now completely preaching that, well, it's no big deal. The Hawkeyes are in free fall, and okay, whatever. I can't make excuses because, put it this way, when the Hawkeyes won, it was tremendous. They were playing good football, and when the Badgers win, it's because the Hawkeyes are bad and they're on the downturn. The Badgers are back to they hold their fate in their own hand. No other way to put it. They hold their fate in their own hands. Since starting off the season at 1-3, they have since then reeled off 4 straight wins. Rutgers, Northwestern, Nebraska, and then Minnesota yet to go. And if they knock off all 4 of those opponents, including Minnesota, they will have turned it around and gone on to win the West. And the criticism, the angst, the thought process when it comes to Paul Chryst, the offense and such, coaching style, velocity, rah-rah, whatever it is, you kind of threw out there for a while when it came to Paul Chryst and coaching Wisconsin Badgers. It seems to be gone. It seems to be gone. Right now it's the criticism is at a minimal. There's crickets. Not many people chirping, except for those that want to continually find fault. Well, that's going to be your prerogative. But nobody's really chirping about Paul Chryst and his program right now. A 27-7 win over the weekend over Iowa, a team that was at the time ranked number 9 in the country. And finally, the true elusive top 25 win that you've been waiting for. Some signature win you've been waiting for. There it is. There it is. So do you believe that the Badgers are back on track? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. What a weekend. The Michigan State game was simply fantastic. Wow, what a finish to that thing. Holy mackerel. Michigan State, the little brother, getting the win over the mighty Michigan. And you've got Jim Harbaugh, who is 3-9 against Michigan State and Ohio State, and 0-5 against Ohio State, loses to little brother Michigan State. And this was the year that they were supposed to be the powerhouse, that they were supposed to continually reel off wins, get to the Ohio State-Michigan game, and this was going to be the year that they beat Ohio State because all those chips were falling into place. And now, who knows what this does, what this loss does to the Michigan Wolverines. But, man, what a game that was. And like I said, kudos to the Badgers. I even tweeted it out. I mean, that was a solid win. I don't know. I mean, you can find flaw in every game. Certainly things aren't as fluid as maybe you'd like them to be. You'd still like to see, more out of the passing game and more offensive explosiveness. And, yeah, I agree with that. But what you got out of the Badgers this weekend was just what you can consider a really, really solid win. Packers.
I found it very hard to nitpick dominant wins like that one. Now, everything isn't as great as it could be. Like that's what this team is, and they did everything they need to do well.
Exactly.
It's really hard to look at one thing and say, "Oh yeah, but they didn't throw the ball in the second half."
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Because I was watching on Twitter. I was watching a game. It was just a relaxing Saturday. I was just watching a game, and I'm watching on Twitter comments of fans. Why didn't they do this? Why wouldn't they call that? Why are they doing this? Why is it's just okay. You can nitpick it, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, and that's why I just said the train's back on the tracks. That was just a dominating win. You had a lot of comfort in the offense and their ability to move the football, run the football. The offensive line, I mean, we kind of, well, I don't want to say kind of. I mean, we laid a lot of this negativity at their feet between the offensive line not giving Graham Mertz enough time to throw, not opening up holes, the run game being non-explosive, and on and on and on. So we kind of laid it at their feet. They have really gelled. I mean, because it's when things are good, you give it to the running back, you give it to the quarterback, you give it to the wide receiver. But when things are bad, you want to point out the negativity of the trenches. I'm going to start with the offensive line. That offensive line played extremely well this weekend. And they're open. Well, they did last weekend too, when they beat Purdue 30-13. They're finally opening up holes. They're finally doing what they're supposed to do when it comes to pass protection, when it comes to opening up holes, when it comes to pulling, when it comes to trap blocking. All the little things that make an offensive line for Wisconsin be really, really good, and the staple of what the offense is supposed to be. So, kudos to the offensive line. Kudos to the Badgers for getting the big win. And now they move on to Rutgers. And, what you don't want to do is let down. You knock off number 25 Purdue. You knock off number 9 Iowa. You feel like everything's flowing in the right direction. Don't go to Rutgers. Don't come home to Northwestern. Don't do it against Nebraska or on the road against. But don't stub your toe, because everything's trending in the right direction. Don't stub your toe. And what you've done is complete reclamation project out of the fire, and you put it back on the mantle where it should be if you're the Wisconsin Badgers. So you just you kind of hope that things don't go in the opposite direction in any way, shape, or form against Rutgers, Northwestern, or Nebraska before they get to retrieving Paul Bunyan's axe. And the Wisconsin, or then the Green Bay Packers. You get the bad news. We knew it when it happened. Robert Tonyan, the knee injury, down for the season. Kylan Hill, the knee injury, down for the season. What you're hoping for is the optimism of what is coming back. And that is Alan Lazard, MVS, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari. You're fortifying your offense. You'll lose a couple of guys, and it's tough because they're kind of heart guys when it comes to the ability to try to overcome and make a name for yourself, and you watch them grow and you watch them progress. But now you're starting to get some of your staples back, and now you want to see how high this offense can fly. In the meantime, we all know what happened on Friday. You get the text out there about Zadarius Smith. Could he be coming back sooner rather than later? You're hoping to get at some point Jair back. You get the rest of these guys healthy in the secondary. You got Kevin King. You've got Stokes. You've got these guys starting to come back. Devondre Campbell has been a godsend. We all know that. Does Merciless get up to speed? Then you get both Dean Lowry and Kenny Clark and those ankles fully back over this next week, fully back to get ready for this game against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. You get all of that flowing in the right direction, and who knows? Because after you watch over the weekend, man, I don't know how to put it. When you get through over the weekend, it is a topsy-turvy NFL. to say the very least. A topsy-turvy NFL. And it's watching the Cowboys get a win, watching the way Tampa Bay went down. You start, you look at a team like Cincinnati that started to climb the pole only to crap to bed, which is what they do in such spectacular Cincinnati fashion. Some of these other games, Chicago can't get out of their own way. 49ers with Garoppolo come back to beat them. The Steelers have come back. The Eagles knocking off the Lions in such dominating fashion. You knew the Rams were going to get a win over the Texans. That continues to happen. The way the Patriots continue to climb out of the hole, and all of a sudden they're sitting at 4-4 in the season. The Seahawks, I thought the Seahawks could get a win, but I didn't think they'd get that kind of a dominating win, 31-7. But the Saints getting the pick six against Tom Brady and beating Brady and company, and they're back to 5-2 after kind of a weird start to their season. All of a sudden, they've become a reclamation project. The Buccaneers, some mistakes, and they go by the wayside. There's just a lot of things going on. And then you find out the Titans, suddenly they get a big win, a big emotional win, the field goal in overtime. But then you find out that you believe Derrick Henry might have a fracture in his foot that would end the season. So many things this week in Carolina. Got to win over the Falcons, and Carolina's back to 4-4. And when you look at the playoff ramifications, things begin to shake out in a really weird fashion. Whether it be Carolina or even Minnesota, could those teams be facing the number 2 seed in the NFC? And if so, can the Green grab the number 1 or the number 2 seed? Because you don't want to jump into the middle of that mix if you're sitting at number 3 or number 4 and you end up playing a team like the Rams. I mean, so many things are beginning to shake out. That's why you're looking at this Packers team going, whoa. Where are they? 877-867-1670. Again, we are broadcasting live. We're here at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino, and a beautiful place. Finally back open. The table gaming is back open. I know we're as far as the live stream goes, some of the sound is a little bit muddled. We'll try to fix that coming up here in just a few. Stay tuned, but they're going to work on it. So just hang in there. Sometimes you don't know until you try, till you turn it on. And then all of a sudden something can go awry. So we'll get back to that. Hang in there. We're broadcasting here. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They're the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break, come back. And I want to start talking a little bit about how good this Packers team is now going to be. Did they just get exponentially better going into this? Also, I still want to talk a lot of Badgers today because I want to. We'll talk with Ben Kenny producing the show back in the studios. But big win for the Badgers. Or if you're a Badger fan, are you back on the Badger bandwagon? And I want to give you an update from the poll question from last week regarding the defense being, and I'm not talking about the Badgers, but more so the Packers, regarding the defense. Actually, the term being used is great. I want to get into that as well because I want to give you the consensus of opinion. Not just mine, but the consensus of opinion as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. The Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Check. There we go. Welcome back. Glad to have you. We are broadcasting live at Potowatomi Bingo Casino, and good to know over the Bud Light live stream. The sound is fixed, and glad to hear it. As just all it was just a cord. Sometimes that's all it is. That's all it is. Packers getting ready for the Kansas City Chiefs. Meanwhile, you've got the Wisconsin Badgers, kind of just basking in the glow of the win over Iowa over the weekend. The Milwaukee Bucks, they continue to struggle. They got a lot of injuries right now, the Bucks do. Between Chris Middleton and the illness over the weekend, they get beat by Utah 107-95. Drew Holiday, Brooke Lopez, Hood, all nicked up. So they're struggling a little bit. As a matter of fact, I mean, it was funny because somebody had said to me today, walking through the doors, and I apologize because I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he said, if the season ended today, the Bucks wouldn't even be in the postseason. He was mad about it. I said, well, they're 3-4, 7 games into the season, into an 82-game season. You got to give it a little bit of time. You know, they're a little nicked up. They're going to be there. They're going to be in the postseason. Let them do some damage after the fact, but they haven't even been able to play together. So we'll just hang in there, wait and see. Wait and see. I'm not concerned about the Bucks. The season's early, and they've kind of gone through their own little, bit of post-championship growing pains. But it's more so just because the team hasn't been able to play together. That's it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. How about the backup, Cooper Rush, last night, leading the Cowboys to a last-minute win over the Vikings? How about that? Look, I don't want to say, and it was one of the things that was brought up was backup quarterbacks in the history of Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, I think had a total of a couple of wins. That's it. Now, granted, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre weren't missing games, but it was like a couple of wins. That was it. And then Cooper Rush comes out, Dak Prescott goes down, and Cooper Rush all of a sudden gets a win. Andy Dalton did an admirable job last year for the Dallas Cowboys, but it wasn't enough to really kind of put them over the top. In the meantime, you got Dak Prescott with the calf injury, and they didn't want to push it. So Cooper Rush gets the start and doesn't do a bad job yesterday. 20-16, late in that contest, they get a win, and they ended up knocking off the Minnesota Vikings. Not that I'm crying at all for the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, though, 23 of 35. And, again, a touchdown. Nothing spectacular, just under 200 yards, 184 yards. Dalvin Cook runs for 78, but it was a back-and-forth game. It's just they couldn't punch the ball into the end zone. Cooper Rush throws that 73-yard touchdown pass, and they get the win. 24 of 40. Mike McCarthy, with a backup quarterback, throws the ball 40 times. You got Zeke Elliott running back there, 16 carries, 50 yards, and Cooper Rush throws the ball 40 times. It is so Mike McCarthy-esque, it isn't funny. And then you get the comeback in Cleveland, and you've got so many opportunities. Baker Mayfield's going wild. He's pumping up the crowd. He's down the sideline. He gets hit out of bounds. His sideline goes crazy. He gets up. He's pumping his fist. First down, the whole thing. Only throws 9 incomplete passes in 31 attempts. 225 yards. But Ben Roethlisberger, 22 of 34, 266 yards, a touchdown. And the Steelers, with Ben Roethlisberger, able to overcome, and they get a win over the Cleveland Browns. Yet another exciting game. You had a game in which Chicago, where you had Justin Fields, runs wild, runs all over the place. Justin Fields yesterday, 103 yards. 22 was his longest on that touchdown scamper, but 10 carries, 10 scrambles, and runs for 103 yards. And the Chicago Bears, behind Justin Fields, who he threw a pick and he threw a touchdown pass, but they can't get past Jimmy Garoppolo. They couldn't get past Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo ran for not one but two different touchdowns yesterday. 5 carries, but only 4 yards. But that 5-yard run, excuse me, he ends up dropping one into the end zone for him. And meanwhile, Mitchell, 18 carries, 137 yards against a pretty decent front seven of the Chicago Bears. Mitchell ran wild. And this is a run game of the 49ers that's been banged up pretty much all season long. And the 49ers are able to escape with a win. Excuse me. So a big day for San Francisco. The Bears, only 3-5 now on the season. Nobody really even close to the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings sitting at 3-4, and the Lions, they got the hell beat out of them. What happened to the Philadelphia Eagles all of a sudden, Ben Kenny? Holy mackerel. Dropping a 44 spot on them.
Honestly, I didn't even watch the game.
Maybe now, see, if you don't watch a game the rest of the year and they continue to win, you'll have to not watch a game anymore.
The problem is I didn't watch because I went and played golf, and I think we only have a couple weekends remaining, let alone the fact that I suck. So, like, I didn't have much fun.
Oh, yeah, Philadelphia, man, dropping a 44 spot on the Detroit Lions yesterday.
3-0 against teams with animals as mascots. 0-5 against everybody else.
Well, then, okay, you got the Lions. The Bears. Who's the other one?
Lions, Falcons, Panthers are the 3 wins.
Lions, Falcons, Bears, or Falcons, Panthers. Okay.
They lost to the Raiders, the Bucks, the 49ers.
Then you better hope they play the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Bengals.
Well, they're playing the Chargers this weekend, so that's a loss.
Yeah, the Chargers would be a loss thing because not. Yeah, okay. All right. There we go. By the way, at this rate, note here from Rick, who says the Packers are going to clinch the division with 5 weeks left to play. The way things are going in the NFC North, I would agree with that. Right now, the NFC North is atrocious. Atrocious. Green Bay Packers 7-1. The next closest team is the Minnesota Vikings at 3-4. 3-4. The Bears have a 3-5 record, and the Lions are 0-8 on the season. That's like Philadelphia's 3-5, New York's 2-5, Washington is 2-6. So the Cowboys are going to run away with that division. Probably one of the best divisions, which we all thought it would be. What we thought it would be better is the NFC West, because both of the top 2 teams in the NFC West are both 7-1. But I thought San Francisco might be a touch better. They're only 3-4, and then Seattle, without Russell Wilson, even though they did get the win, they're a 3-5 team. So the best division in football right now, you would probably have to say, is the AFC North. Because Baltimore is 5-2. Cincinnati. Didn't I say Cincinnati over the last week that I said the only way Cincinnati gives you anything of proof is if they bounce back? Didn't I say they'd probably lose to the Jets? Because that's just the way Cincinnati is. That's just the way. They cannot stand success. They get a big win over the Baltimore Ravens, and they crap the bed the very next week against a bad Jets team, and they can't get out of their own way. Can't get out of their own way. Cincinnati is always going to be Cincinnati. They'll get to the postseason, but they're not going to get a win in the postseason. Just ridiculous. And then Pittsburgh gets the big win to put them back to 4-3, and Cleveland takes a loss, and they go to 4-4. But that's the most competitive division because everybody there's 500 or better in football. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press-Gazette. We're going to be talking to him about this Packers team in the upcoming game against Kansas City And a big week for the Packers. This is a game that if you started looking at the beginning of the season, you thought, okay, it would be a tough one going to the desert on a Thursday night, playing the Arizona Cardinals, then coming back even with a 10-day rest, then coming back and playing Kansas City. And you were hoping just to get one win. But the likelihood that you can get two here, and remember, Kansas City playing tonight. They're playing at home, and they're playing the New York Giants. Now, the Giants sitting at 2-5, but the Chiefs have just looked bad. The defense is bad. When you look at their point differential, it's bad. And they're just not doing a whole lot right, especially in the secondary and the ability to stop the run. So who knows what's going to happen tonight? But then the Packers go a-calling, and I think the Packers are going to be a lot healthier. I think the Packers should win. I don't want to say going away, but it should be a relatively convincing win against the defense that isn't going to throw a lot at you. And all of a sudden, when you look at the Packers schedule, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Their only other loss may come when the Rams come into Lambeau or when they go to the East Coast and face the Baltimore Ravens. That's it. I don't see the Packers losing the rest of the season. And if that's the case, you're talking if that's the two games they actually lose, it's a 14-3 season. And it's like, oh my God. And that may win you the top spot in the NFC before it's all said and done. Now, you would have one loss or two losses against NFC teams. And you would not have a loss in the division because if you go as I just stated, the only loss would then be against in the conference would be against the Rams. And if the Rams are tied with you, they have the tiebreaker then. Same with the Arizona Cardinals because you just beat the Cardinals. So it would be a three-way deal. You'd get into point differentials and such. But think about it. You're no longer just trying to kind of survive. Now you're thinking to yourself, you got to keep winning to jockey for position in the NFC because things have gotten really real. 877-867-1670. But what we want to do is going to take a quick break. Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press Gazette, going to join us. We're broadcasting live at Potowatomi Hotel Casino, and they've got a special event. Table gamings are back, but they got a special event today. And the benefactor, the charitable benefactor from Bally Sports is going to be Fisher House, Wisconsin, which is the reason I'm here today, a charity that's near and dear to my heart, as many of you know. And I appreciate them inviting us down today. So I just wanted to say thanks to them. And we're going to talk more a little bit later on today with the CEO of Potowatomi, Dominic Ortiz, is going to be here. And we'll have a representative come over and talk a little charity with us as well. But that's the reason we're here today. So you may be asking yourself, why are you in a casino? It's not because sports betting's back. It's because table games and a charity event is going on. And we'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press Gazette, coming up next to the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip is teaming up with your local Chevy dealers to award a new Silverado Trail Boss to one lucky Packers fan in the opening drive sweepstakes. Chevrolet sells more vehicles in Wisconsin than any other brand. To enter, stop by your local Quick Trip. Purchase any Pothole Frozen Pizza, the official frozen pizza of Lambeau Field, with your rewards card, and you're entered. If selected, you'll win cash, plus entry into the year-end drawing to win a brand new Silverado Trail Boss. No purchase necessary. Chevrolet and Quick Trip, proud partners of Packers football.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We're broadcasting live. We're at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. We are downtown Milwaukee. As today, we are here for a charity event and here to talk a little bit more about it coming up in the next hour. So we'll kind of fill you in on that. In the meantime, the Green Bay Packers coming off of the win over an unlikely win for many who thought that this team was just so banged up and Thursday night, short turnaround, may not be able to sustain, and to get that kind of a win in Arizona it was awesome. And I mean, I don't know how else to put it in the fact that you did lose Robert Tonyan, you did lose Kylan Hill, but you look like you might get MVS, Alan Lazard, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, all back sooner rather than later. And the good news, at least seemingly coming out about Zadarius Smith, we'll see what happens before it's all said and done as they start to put it all together. Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press-Gazette, now joining us on the hotline. Pete, I mean, you look at the loss of Tonyan and Kylan Hill, and while they're tough breaks, literally, you've got a lot on the horizon right now when it comes to sunshine with Bakhtiari and MVS and Lazard and Devontae Adams and the possibility of Jair Alexander and such. I mean, things seem to be at least kind of shaping up in a positive direction right now, correct?
Yeah, and they knew a lot of those were going to be short-term. Alexander, they think it was not going to be season-ending, so, you know, if he comes back, I think him coming back is more likely than not, but they don't know for sure. And Zadarius Smith, I mean, it sounds like, he's got a pretty decent shot at being back sometime in December. That'd be huge to have if both Alexander and Smith can finish out the season and get back in time to get a few games in before the playoffs. That would matter a lot because there's a pretty good argument that that's their two most important defensive players. I mean, Kenny Clark is right up there too.
So when you look at this defense, if you get Zadarius back, you have Merciless, you have Devondre Campbell. And they didn't have Jalen Smith activated in this game against Arizona. Does he become kind of the odd man out when it comes to the linebacking core because he doesn't seem to be finding his way to the field?
Yeah, just based off of his two games, he did not look like in those games an upgrade over Chris Barnes. And maybe it was a game plan thing to some degree with Arizona. I think they probably knew they were going to go with a lot of five-man defensive front, one inside linebacker, 5 DBs. But, Barnes, I don't remember the snap count. I'd have to go back and look. But Barnes is out there quite a bit. So I just think probably, Smith, it just doesn't look like it looks like Barnes is still the better player of the two.
Offensively speaking, at what point is this week do you see Bakhtiari coming back, or do you think they wait another week for him?
Yeah, tough call on that. I don't know. Judging by what LaFleur has said, they keep expressing caution about, wanting to bring him back too early. I know, from talking with a couple doctors in the league that if you tear an ACL, if you come back before 9 months after surgery, your chances of having a compensatory injury go way up, and your chances of developing arthritis in your knee sooner, all that stuff, those odds go way up. Now, he had the surgery in mid-January, so, we're past the 9-month mark, but it wouldn't be a surprise if they I guess if I had to guess, I would guess he's back this week, but it wouldn't be a surprise if it were another week, because last week, they didn't have any padded practices, and that's the big thing is they want to get this guy in 11-on-11 with padded practices before he plays, and I would think they'd want a week of that. So, I could easily see him giving him one more week of practice this week and then playing the following week, but I guess if I absolutely had to bet, I'd go with this week, but I would not want to bet more than about a nickel.
Well, that's just it. I mean, they've been, I don't want to say so good and they don't need them, because that's a wrong statement, erroneous statement, but they've been good. It's not like you are desperately pressing to get David Bakhtiari back into the mix to the point where you have to rush him back and then risk his health and further injury. To me, it's like you'd love to see him come back, but you got still another week. It's not like things are beginning to unravel on the offensive front. They've been surprisingly really good.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, there's absolutely zero, desperation or urgency to have him back there. The two ways I think it'll help them is, I think against a lot of teams, the majority of teams, they're fine without him. They can help double and all that stuff. And, Jenkins is, pretty solid out there, but there's a handful of teams with really good outside rushers where putting him out there really helps them a lot, because then they don't have to double and they can double at other places. And it makes a big difference to have a guy his quality out there. And those are usually good teams with a couple of really good rushers. And the other thing is it'll let Jenkins move to guard when Bakhtiari comes back, and that'll really help their run game. He's their best run blocker. That'll help their inside run game a lot. So, it will make a difference, but I agree completely. I mean, they've weathered his absence absolutely fine, and I'm sure they have zero complaints about how, the guys filling in for Bakhtiari have done. I mean, they have held up really well, all things considered.
Do you think that this is Alan Lazard, Devontae Adams, MVS, they're all back this week?
I would think so. It sounded like, in watching from what MVS, watching him in pregame, he was doing full speed stuff. He looked like he was ready to go. Now, I'm sure they were being cautious there, but I would have to think he's ready to go. Adams, I guess you never know how long, the COVID positive test will stick with the guy, but I would think odds are pretty good for him being back. Lazard a little less. I think he was just a close contact, so his 5 days should be up as long as he hasn't tested positive.
Then the tight end position, Robert Tonyan going down with the knee injury, obviously a really, really tough loss. But you still have the guy that's kind of, they wanted to use as a Swiss Army knife in Josiah DeGuara. Mercedes Lewis is still there. You've got backups. I mean, are they going to be out on the market looking for a tight end? Do you think they're going to stand pat?
I would think they're poking around, but I don't think they don't need to go just get a body, just a guy who's played, because they have guys who have played and who are doing, they're doing fine. I mean, even Daphne, when I rewatched the game the other night, he had some really good blocks. So, I think they're, as far as just having decent players there, they're fine. But you do wonder if, let's say, they could get Evan Ingram, who's a talented guy. Maybe they look at that because. Tonyan, I know his numbers weren't as good this year, but he's a really good receiver and a good weapon for that offense. And his numbers were going to spike as the season went on. They had to. He looked so good in training camp. If he went to practice, anybody who was at practice every day would have said, yeah, this guy he looks even better than last year, and he's going to have a really good season. So that's a real weapon that they're losing. And so I wouldn't be shocked if they're at least poking around, but there's only probably a couple tight ends who'd be worth getting who are also available, and the price, maybe the price will be too high.
Talking with Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press-Gazette, the other area of depletion now, the running back position. Kylan Hill going down. Not only do they lose a backup running back, but they lose a kick returner as well. If I had to put the priority rather than tight end, I think maybe getting a backup running back at this point might be a more pressing matter. Do you agree?
The first thing I thought of was the kickoff returning, only because, they don't have anybody else who's any good at all at returning kickoffs. And remember the San Francisco game? I'm pretty sure it was a San Francisco game. Remember they kicked it out of the end zone?
Yeah.
With, I don't know, there's how many seconds left, like 40 seconds or whatever. Teams much prefer to kick it where they have to return it and eat up, 5 or 6 seconds when there's so little time left. And I remember Shanahan saying after the game, the reason they didn't, I think it was Shanahan, maybe it was a special teams coach the next week, but the reason they didn't was that Hill had a couple big returns the previous week, and they didn't want the Packers returning the ball out to the 40, basically. So, he actually, without having to return the ball, he helped them win that game because that saved them valuable seconds there. So I think it could hurt their kickoff return as much as anything. The backup is important. If one of the two guys ahead of them gets hurt, if those two guys are healthy, then he probably wasn't going to see the field anyway. But the kickoff returning is big, and, of course, the depth is always important, too.
Does Josiah DeGuara fill the bill when it comes to the tight end position with his hands and the fact that he is a pretty good pass catcher? Now, he's not Robert Tonyan as far as a matchup goes, but he's a really good pass catcher.
Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing, Bill. He's hardly done anything this year. Last week was the first game they actually, they threw it to him. I think it was on a 4th down conversion they went to him. And so, yeah, he's gonna have to be, and he should be hitting stride. As I think he's past the year mark on his ACL surgery now, so he should be, hitting his stride there. He's not as fast as Tonyan, and I think he's only 6'3" or maybe even a hair under, so he doesn't have the height that you prefer at a tight end either. But I would think his role is going to be huge now, and Mercedes Lewis is really. It's kind of shocking how well he's playing, but the thing he had going for him in the passing game was, that there's such an element of surprise, because teams just don't think their backs are going to throw him the ball, especially if Tonyan's on the field too. Now they kind of lose that element of surprise with Mercedes Lewis. So that losing Tonyan's a blow. I think DeGuara is the guy who's going to have to come through and become, like you said, a weapon, and he'll be used differently than Tonyan. He'll be more like, the 49ers use check, more that H-back, fullback, kind of that role a decent amount of the time.
Last question, that is Mike Zimmer, Matt Nagy, respective coaches of the Vikings and the Bears. Do you think the way the seasons are going, either, neither, both, do they survive the offseason?
I would think things would be pretty shaky with Zimmer because he's been there so long, and they keep, making all these moves to win, and it's just ain't happening. Now, there's a lot of season to go, so, there's still, 9 games left. So things, we just don't know how things are going to go in the second half of the season. I don't know what the Bears will do with Nagy because if they end up with a relatively poor record, but Fields keeps improving. I mean, I watched the Bears game. I don't know if you did yesterday, but, I thought he looked pretty good, and not just because of that one touchdown run. So do they think that if Fields looks good enough, do they like the idea of having Nagy be the guy coaching him, or do they prefer to bring in somebody else? I just have no clue on that one.
Good stuff as always, Pete. Appreciate it, and you and I will talk again down the road. Thanks for giving us a buzz back, too, okay?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Bill.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press-Gazette, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Again, we are broadcasting live. We're here at Potowatomi Hotel Casino. And today, gaming, table games are back. In addition to that, Bally Sports has an event going on. And the benefactor, the reason we are here, is because it's a charity that's near and dear to my heart, which is Fisher House, Wisconsin. By the way, want to say thanks to Joe and Ellen Hennis, the gang at Sloppy Joe's, everybody over at Smoke on the Water. They did an event this weekend. Believe it or not, it was 48 degrees yesterday. And they had a motorcycle ride, and a lot of people showed up. They raised $700 yesterday in favor of the Fisher House. I went over there and had a chance to say hello to everyone and to thank them for coming out. And it's just the dedication, it amazes me that people still come out and they do what they do, and all for one, a great cause, and two, for the camaraderie and brotherhood and the riders and everybody that just wanted to be a part of it yesterday. So thanks so much to all that came out, and also to Joe Hennis, Ellen Hennis, his beautiful wife, and everybody, the staff and management of Sloppy Joe's, Smoke on the Water on Okachi Lake. They did a fantastic job. The food was great. The Bloody Marys were fantastic, and just a tremendous time, but more so a good amount of money raised. So thanks to them as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Got to talk a little bit about that World Series. You figure Grand Salami, things are done. Nah, baby, nah. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers in meetings today and a walkthrough practice getting ready for Week 9. Tight end Robert Tonyan out for the year with a torn ACL suffered against the Cardinals. Marcedes Lewis says the 27-year-old Tonyan is always eager to learn.
He's always in my ear. Like, there's not a moment where he's not asking me something. It can be football, life, financial stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, he's always in my ear, always text, always calling me. And he's been like that since I met him. If you're able to put things in perspective that way and just hone in every single day on getting better, you're going to get a product like you see what Bobby's doing right now.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
Bobby's a tough one to replace. I mean, he's a guy that's, so versatile in terms of both in the run game and in the pass game. And, there's going to be some things that we might have to adjust in terms of how we game plan.
So after Marcedes Lewis, other options at tight end include Josiah Degora, Dominic Daphne, and Tyler Davis, who's on the roster. He's 24 years old, 6'4", 252 pounds, drafted out of Georgia Tech by Jacksonville, and was signed off the Colts practice squad by Green Bay in late September. Davis spends a lot of time in the weight room and talked about what he brings to the Packers.
My athleticism, number one. That's something that I hallmark. That's my game. My athleticism. That's how I try and beat defenders with my athletic ability at the tight end position. So just throw my speed, my change of direction.
That's Packers tight end Tyler Davis. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Mike Clemens is brought to you by our good friends over there at the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. baymotelgreenbay.com. This portion of the Bill Michaels program brought to you by our good friends at Quick Trip. Top-tier alternative fuels. No fee ATMs, whether it's milk or bread, bananas, whatever it happens to be, or some of their better meats, hot food, cold food. They are the convenience store of choice for the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, the fuel provider for the big unit cruiser, and we can't say thanks enough to our friends at Quick Trip as well. It appears that the NFL's leading rusher done for the season. He is Derrick Henry, by the way, a season-ending foot injury yesterday that was sustained in the win over the Colts. Apparently, they would. It is a Jones fracture, is what they believe. A Jones fracture, and that would require season-ending surgery. And I think it's you've got all kinds of bones in the foot. It's a bone that's like near the like the top of your foot between the toe and the base of the foot. There's bones in there, and that what they call that Jones fracture. I think that's what that is. But the bottom line is, it's extremely painful. And that would, and I could be wrong on that. So if there's a doctor out there, you can let me know. But I believe that's what it is. So he would face season-ending surgery. And Derrick Henry, I mean, when you talk about his numbers, 937 yards so far this season, 353 more yards than any other player in the league right now when it comes to running back. He's got a game and a half, 2 games on most running backs, and he's been that solid. Now, if he's done, most likely, so is the Titans season. He's their most dynamic weapon by far. And when you talk about a ground control game, not having to throw the ball, not having to throw incomplete passes, eating the clock, he is their most lethal weapon. So my assumption is that the Tennessee Titans, not only did they receive the news today about Derrick Henry, but they get the demise of their season word today as well. The other piece of news and notes is that it was almost over. The Grand Slam early on, and when Atlanta was up 3-1 and the ball went out of the yard yesterday, I thought, oh, here we go. It's over. Atlanta is going to celebrate. And for the most part, I think along with the rest of the country, now you may not be overwhelmingly into baseball at this point, but I think just in judging from the people that I've talked to over the last, I don't know, week or so, is that not a whole lot of people rooting for the Houston Astros. It starts out with, man, I like Dusty Baker, but fill in the blank. And it all regards negativity when it comes to the Houston Astros. They bounced back from that first inning grand slam from Adam Duvall, and they ended up beating the Braves 9-5 last night. The World Series now goes back to Houston. Game 6 tomorrow, and Atlanta still has that 3-2 series lead, but now they head back to Houston. So there you have it. Stay tuned. We got more coming up. We are broadcasting live. Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. Table gaming is back. They have a charity event going on as well. Money's going to be raised for Fisher House, Wisconsin, which is the reason we are here. But we're just here hanging out today. Got up early and came in. The lights, the bells, the whistles, the excitement all over again. It's good to be back. Good to be back. We still got 3 more hours of the program coming up. Stay tuned. Bill Michaels Show continues right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, injuries continue to ravage the Green Bay Packers. The latest is a pair of season-ending knee injuries for tight end Robert Tonyan and running back Kylan Hill. That happened in the Packers' win over the Arizona Cardinals. More from head coach Matt LaFleur.
They're tough guys to replace. I know Kylan wasn't as involved with our offense up to this point, but certainly what he's done on special teams is good to replace. And then watching a guy like Bobby, like I mentioned last night, just the growth and development of him and what he means to this football team. And just knowing the amount of hours and everything he puts into this game, it's just sickening for me as a coach.
The Packers, who are just one of 3 teams to be sitting at 7-1, now turn their attention to the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll go to Arrowhead this Sunday for a 3:25 kickoff. Saturday saw Graham Mertz rush for 2 touchdowns and pass for 1, while Braylon Allen rumbled for 104 yards in the Wisconsin Badgers' 27-7 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes for a homecoming at Camp Randall. The Badgers, who still control their own destiny in the West, go to Rutgers this Saturday for a 2:30 kickoff against the Scarlet Knights.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
As a proud sponsor of the WIAA, they care about your community like you do. They believe the communities that support their athletes are the true champions. Visit ruralmutual.com/WIAA to learn how they support high school athletics.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
The Milwaukee Bucks have now dropped 3 straight games at home following their 107-95 loss to the Utah Jazz last night at the Pfizer Forum. The Bucks, who sit at 3-4, are 10th in the Eastern Conference and will travel to Detroit tomorrow night to take on the Pistons for a 6 o'clock tip. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome. Hour number 2. We are broadcasting live down here at Potowatomi Hotel Casino. We are in downtown Milwaukee. As the big news of the day is that table gaming is back. And in addition to that, the reason we are here is not so much because I'm, a table gaming fanatic or anything like that. It's that they are with Bally Sports, where you can watch the Brewers and the Bucks and such. They are doing an event where they have named Fisher House, Wisconsin as their charity. So we said, look, we'd love to be a part of this. And so we came on down. And we're here today. And we are a part of this, and we are so glad and so thankful to be here and excited to be here and appreciate Potawatomi making us a part of this today and Bally Sports for contributing to an charity that I believe in wholeheartedly. So thanks to them for being a part of it as well. Finally, we discover now, Ben Kenny producing the show. Ben, when you finally found out that Aaron Rodgers grew his hair out to be John Wick, were you impressed?
I said on the morning show, Bill, I've actually never seen John Wick.
I put it this way: never seen the movie, but you've seen the character, or just never seen the character or anything of it.
I guess I've seen it around, but that whole reference just was completely lost on me.
John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves. That is Aaron Rodgers, and the reason he grew out the hair. He's got the iconic picture with the dog, both running with the dog, and the other one where he's in the car, looking the dog in the face and such. And he's got his makeup done and has the black suit and the black tie and the black shirt. And I get it. Okay. I I was waiting for some dramatic, like Conan the Barbarian with the long hair or something like that, John Wick, you throw on a wig and a black suit, you're good to go. I never expected that. But that's very Aaron Rodgers-esque, might be the best way to put it, as far as him coming up with that type of character for the Halloween party. I wonder if he actually brought the dog with him.
Does he go and cut it now?
Well, that's a question. Does he go? Because he put up with, and look, I was somebody that piled on. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I was somebody that said, look, when you don't have a full-blown, big scruffy beard, it's very tough for anybody to pull off the man bun. So did he pull off the man bun? I was critical. So being John Wick, do you stick with the man bun and the long hair? Do you cut it off? Or the fact that you have now won 7 games in a row, don't mess with what works. Don't touch it. Just let it grow. Let it continue on. And if you take a loss, then you cut it. I'm a believer right now. You don't cut it at all. You don't touch it. Your season's intact. You're moving forward. Things are rolling. I don't mess with it. I don't think I cut it. I don't think anything that I do right now steps outside of whatever superstition or tradition that I have revolving around this season. I wouldn't cut it. I wouldn't. Would you cut it? Would you tell him to go back to the clean cut, very prophetic looking Aaron Rodgers, or does he stick with the scruff and grumbly?
I'm not the biggest Halloween guy. I would keep it. I would keep it because I'm superstitious, but I would not say that I grew it out just for a Halloween costume.
Right.
Because I'm not the biggest Halloween guy in the world.
So here's my next question, because this was the big question over the weekend. So do you think that he took because he had said early, he didn't say anything about the hair early on, and he was taking all kinds of grief for it, for the long hair, the man bun, all that kind of stuff. And then after a while, he drops it's going to be part of my Halloween costume. So do you think that he had this in the back of his mind all along? Or do you think that he did this costume because of the grief he was taking for the longer hair?
Maybe the latter. I think we're forgetting maybe the origin of the hair, which was his weeks in Hawaii with Miles Teller.
Right. Do you think back in Hawaii you went, you know what, I think I'm going to grow it out and be John Wick for Halloween? Now, we know he's a deep thinker, so maybe he did. I don't know. But a lot of people think that he conformed to John Wick because of the grief he was taking over the long hair.
There needed to be a bigger story there than Miles Teller getting punched in the face in the bathroom.
Right? That's perfect. So Aaron Rodgers makes the debut of John Wick at the Halloween party. I love the dog, iconic pictures, scars in the face and the head. And now we know. The big unveil, the big reveal happened at the Halloween party over the weekend. And Aaron Rodgers does the John Wick look. Okay. I just wonder now if he because if he shaves it and he goes, well, it was just for Halloween, and then they lose. Oh man, now you're messing with tradition. Now you're messing with superstition here. You're getting rid of the gods that were on your side. I see. Now you keep it. I don't necessarily go with the man bun, but now you keep it. Keep that thing. So let it hang. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Merlin says Rodgers has always been into Halloween and generally speaks his mind. I believe he had it in his mind. You know what, Merlin? I agree with you. the conspiracy theorists are saying, no, he chose this character because he was taking so much grief over the man bun. But I agree with you. He is a deeper thinker. He's thinking of something competitively down the road right now. Something that's just got him to the point where he's gonna say, okay, today I'm gonna wake up with this particular, thing on my shoulder that's gonna create a Zen focus and a happiness within, and this is where I'm going to concentrate. I agree with you. Yeah.
So if this is how people prepare for things, I guess I'll get in shape for Halloween next year.
Well, what are you going to go as?
I have no idea yet, but I'll just use it as an excuse to start working out.
Right. So now you got to think to yourself, okay, I have to do something. Am I going to grow a beard? Am I going to, grow my hair out? Am I going to shave my head? Do you go with something else? Going to start getting fit and trim to get yourself into a black suit, white shirt, and a black tie and go out as James Bond? Something like that, Are you going to start saving money and go with high-end Gucci apparel or Versace apparel and go out as the James Bond character, the John Wick character, and go in that direction? What do you do? Because now you got to think about it. If you're going to be Aaron Rodgers-esque, you got to start putting this together now. By the way, we had a great time. Speaking of that, at Stenny's over the weekend. Did you see any of the pictures, Ben?
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was fun. The guy that won, I can't really get into the details of the actual name, but by the time he went from the Pillsbury Doughboy, he was basically the guy looked like a baker. He was a cook, had the hairnet, the apron on, a towel hanging out of the apron, white shirt, white pants, the whole thing. He looked like a baker over at the Wisconsin State Fair Park for the Cream Puff Pavilion. And when he came on stage, he went to towel his head off with the towel that was hanging in front of him. So he went to towel his face off, only to reveal under the towel was an appendage that if, say, you were using hers, that sausage you would be proud to unveil. Does that make sense, Ben? You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah, it makes enough sense.
Okay.
This is just confirming the fact that Halloween is not one of my favorite holidays.
So he did that, and the crowd went crazy, and he ended up winning. But we had some really cool costumes. They had some people that put some time and effort. Vultures down there. They had a guy that came as Jack Sparrow that was down there. It was a good Cheech and Chong comedy skit. A girl came down as the life-size Operation game. And her boyfriend had a pair of tongs and was grabbing the parts off of her, and she was laying on the floor shaking and everything like she got buzzed and zapped. And Kristen and I did some steampunk thing, and I posted her picture. She's better looking than I am, so I posted her picture over on the Facebook fan page. But we had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and thanks to everybody that participated. 23 different contestants down at Stenny's. We even had Tommy Lee and Pamela. We had a young baby Britney Spears that showed up, Batman and Catwoman, and it was a lot of fun. It was really creative. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. 877-867-1670. Rick says Packers have 7 wins. The Lions, Vikings, and Bears combined for 6. Correct. Packers running away with the division. Running away with it. By the way, I should put the poll question up because people are now chiming in. Should Aaron Rodgers cut the hair now that he's revealed the John Wick character? And many of you say no. He's winning. Since the opening loss against the Saints, he is now winning. Now 7-0 since then. Here's the other question. Remember, that was kind of an ugly loss to begin the season, a loss in which the Packers, that was kind of their preseason game, if you will, with Aaron Rodgers and company, because you had 33, 36 players that didn't even play in the preseason. That was their opening contest. And you thought, man, the Saints, they focused on that. They prepared for that. They got ready for that. And since then, after that, they didn't look real good. And now, all of a sudden, when you look at the Saints, where they're sitting, not a bad way to go. When you talk about the division, they're 5-2. They're a game back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, believe it or not. And now, if they catch the Buccaneers, they would be sitting high and mighty with the tiebreaker if the Buccaneers should lose again, because New Orleans right now beating them, and with Tom Brady throwing the pick 6 yesterday, the Saints get the win. However, news comes down today. Jameis Winston, a significant injury. They're not saying it's a season ender, but a significant injury in that win. Sean Payton fears that Jameis Winston suffered, quote, a significant injury in that 36-27 victory over Tampa Bay. Sean Payton said, I cried when I saw him coming in. He was waiting to speak with the doctors. He said, quote, it's hard, and goes on from there. There you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up if you choose to do so. But the veteran quarterback Trevor Siemian replaced Winston and led the Saints, now 5-2, to the improbable win, which was clinched by the Bucks quarterback Tom Brady throwing that pick six. There you have it. Hit us up. We got a lot more yet to go. Hitting down here. Maybe some of the table games later on today. We'll have to wait and see. But at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino, and we'll be talking coming up here in just a little bit to the PR director, Ryan Edmonton, I should say. And he's the PR director down here, but he's going to give us an explanation as to what Bally Sports is doing here, the conjunction with Fisher House, Wisconsin. We'll get a little bit of that coming up later on this hour, but stay tuned. So I do want to take the focus back to the Green Bay Packers, not just to Aaron Rodgers in the costume and whether or not he should or shouldn't cut his hair, but how good is this team? Now, we all know it's a bandwagon league, right? We all know that. Over the weekend, Packers didn't play. They played on Thursday night. Thursday night, they get the win. The narrative on Friday morning was, are the Packers the best team in the NFC? Are the Packers the best team in the National Football League? Today, after that win, after Mike McCarthy coaches that Cowboys team to a victory, couldn't believe it. Rush gets the deal done for Dallas. Dak on the sideline. Now the narrative is, are the Cowboys the best team in the National Football League? Remember, I had it different when it came to the power rankings this past week. So we'll talk about that coming up as well. Big one tonight, Kansas City at home. Kansas City hosting tonight the New York Giants. Can the Giants run the ball, throw the ball, do anything against the Kansas City Chiefs, who then in 6 days, a quick turnaround, will be welcoming in a well-rested and hopefully healthier Green Bay Packers team, who then is vying for the top spot in the league. Who is the best team in the National Football League? We'll talk about all of that coming up as well. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Kunis RV. Kunis RV, 9 dealerships, state of Wisconsin, 1 over in northern Illinois as well. They are the fastest growing, best, in my opinion, RV and camping dealerships in the state of Wisconsin. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Jayco, Alliance, Coachman, Catalina, Forest River, Nexus, like what we have, whether it's a fifth wheeler, motorhome, a camper van, travel trailer, they got it all. Go to Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. You can order now, and you can start getting your orders in for what's upcoming for next year. Or in addition to that, if you've got one that you need to winterize, you need to take care of, you need to store, you need to put away, they can do that as well. Go to Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. That is KunisRV.com. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up, broadcasting live here at Potowatomi Hotel Casino. We'll be back coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ganadella from Pella and the title tones of Game Day Train, take 47.
I'm leaving.
Leaving.
On a Game Day train to Titletown.
What did Gina get us into?
Come on, Leroy, Wayne, Tosh, we can do this.
I don't know, Gina. I'm just not feeling it.
Same here, Leroy.
Yeah, like what's our motivation?
Well, with chilly winds sneaking in, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can replace those leaky, stuck, and squeaky windows and doors, and we install year-round.
I was thinking more like matching crushed velvet jacket.
Ooh, in green and gold? Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Listen, how about if we offered Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin fans 12 months, no payments, and no interest?
Maybe.
Plus 20% off installation.
Yeah, that's more like
Now we're cooking with gas.
But only through November 30th. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See for details.
Woo, woo. Oh, that was good. Good, woo, woo.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Of the end of the world, but it's feeling just like every other morning before. Now I wonder what my life is gonna be.
I got to admit, it's the one of the stupidest things. But I'll throw it out there, just because people are bringing it up and answering the question. So I hate these things, but we had talked about Aaron Rodgers and the hair and the John Wick reveal that he had over the weekend. And so now people are saying, well, now he should cut his hair. He should cut his hair, right? Halloween's over. And I say, no, don't cut it. You're winning. You're 7-0 since that opening loss. No. You're playing well. Things are good. Don't. No. So I put it out there. It's over on the Twitter poll. Should Aaron Rodgers cut the hair now that Halloween is over? Yes, just get back to being Aaron, or no, you're winning. I say no, you're winning. Some of you disagree. 877-867-60. It's stupidest thing. Stupidest thing, but it is what it is. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's go to Denny. Denny, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man? How you been?
Thanks for taking my call, Bill.
You're the man. What's up?
Thursday, I wanted to thank you for the best after-game show, post-game show that I think, ever did, that I've listened to in sportscasting. Your enthusiasm, and you were excited about the game and everything. And I tried chiming in, and believe it or not, those phones were, even before the broadcast started, those phones were jammed all night. It was unreal. I was so happy for you. It was great. And number two, who's the better back, Malusi or Allen?
Ooh.
Because here's the stat. 6.2 yards for Allen, 2.5 for Malusi. You know, I mean, what the hell's going on in Madison when you got you're in a crucial part of the game and your number one back is not in there. And you notice when they put him in for that late drive, I mean, they went right down there, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think
he's more tougher.
Yeah.
He's more physical. He finishes the run.
I
just wanted to hear what you had to say.
Well, I like them both because they're different backs. It's like saying which is a better back, A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones, because A.J. Dillon is more of a bruiser and a north-south guy, and if you can do that against certain teams and they don't tackle well, then A.J. Dillon's going to have a big game where maybe they're faster on the outside and Aaron Jones is not going to be as capable, or vice versa. So I think they both bring different dynamics to the table. I like Braylon Allen. I just do. I like the moves. I think his what they call it is kind of a hop step, and he's just got the ability to what I call break ankles, specifically getting into the hole and in the open. So that's just my opinion.
Exactly right. No, I totally appreciate it. I just don't want to see Allen go in a transfer portal because he could start somewhere.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, I agree with you, and appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening to the postgame show, and chime in anytime. And then I want to go over, and Ben, you tell me, do you like Braylon Allen or Ches Malusi more?
I think we've reached a point where Braylon Allen's the clear best back. I don't know if he's take every carry Jonathan Taylor level good yet, but he's definitely performed better than Malusi over the last month.
See, I agree, and I just like Braylon Allen. Like I said, he's a guy that can make you miss. He's a guy that if the hole's not there, has a really good jump step, a cut step, a dig step, whatever people want to label it as. And when he gets to the open field, he's got that gear, whatever that gear is. I like the way he runs. And I know there are some people that look at it differently. But I just like the way he runs. 877-867-1670.
I think as time goes on, he'll get more and more carries. I mean, he's 17 years old. He just started his career. Every time he touches the ball, he looks better. And it's a good problem to have.
Wow. This is breaking news. Huge. Adam Schefter reporting a blockbuster deal in the NFL. The Broncos are trading away Von Miller. He is going to the Rams in exchange for 2 second-day 2022 draft picks, according to Adam Schefter. Miller right now saying his goodbyes to his friends in the Broncos training facility, but Von Miller traded to the Rams to bolster that defense. That's huge. It was already a good defense. Then you throw him in with Donald and company, and that may take that defense up to a whole different stratosphere when it comes to their ability to get stops. And now the other thing you think about, if they can continue to get stops, you look at the numbers that Matthew Stafford is starting to put up and some of the respect he's getting. And we always knew Matthew Stafford was solid. But yesterday, you look at his day, 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, wasn't even sacked, didn't even get touched. Quarterback rating, I think it was like 125, 130, something like that. And between Cooper Kupp, who always is going to be your big target, but Jefferson and Woods, and he's got Higbee, he's got guys to throw to, that defense just goes up a dramatic notch. And again, just so if you're tuning us in, the breaking news of the day, Adam Schefter reporting that Von Miller has been traded from Denver to the LA Rams in exchange for a couple of second-day picks in the 2022 NFL draft. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. That's pretty big news. Pretty big news. Von Miller traded. And that's, you know what? Here you go. The other thing, they're going to end up facing that team, that LA Rams team, in Lambeau Field in just a few weeks. That's a franchise face right now on the move. Von Miller was. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. 877-867-670, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. By the way, the poll question, now that Halloween is over, should Aaron Rodgers cut the hair? 67% of you saying nope, you're winning. You don't mess with success. So there you go. 72 people have voted. Big stuff. Big stuff. And only getting a couple of day 2 picks for Von Miller. Man. That's
at least Aaron Rodgers probably doesn't want to go to Denver anymore.
Right? Think about that. Denver, they're loading up in a rebuild. They don't have a legit quarterback. So when you look at the Denver Broncos and you say, okay, if you're going to be, let's just say you are, and now don't get me wrong, Denver's sitting at 4-4 in the season. And they're only a game behind the LA Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, they were 3-0.
Right. No, I agree.
It was a fraud 3-0.
That I would agree with. They still feel like they had a shot, but maybe they're looking at this thing going, you know what? We're on the outside looking in. We're not as good as the Raiders. We're nowhere near as good as Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Kansas City's on the downslide, and their defense is faltering. Now, whether or not Kansas City's able to have a second-half resurgence, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it doesn't start with the Green Bay Packers. And they've even had, their quarterback banged up a little bit. So maybe Denver's saying, you know what? We're going to get out while the getting's good. But to only get 2 second-day draft choices for Von Miller, now that could be a second round, a third round, a fourth round, whatever it happens to be. But that's all you got? Then again, I guess if it comes out to be a second round and a third round, that's not a bad way to go, depending on where you end up. And if you end up outside of the postseason, then your record is going to be bad enough that you should probably be in the top 10, top 15 maybe, of picks. If you believe, like you had stated, the beginning of their season was somewhat a fraud, which I would wholeheartedly agree with. Man, to only get that for Von Miller. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. It's a second round and a third round draft choice. A second round and a third round draft choice for Von Miller. Von Miller on the move, leaving the Broncos, heading to the LA Rams, who are getting better and will ultimately face the Green Bay Packers coming up in just a few weeks. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you. Welcome back to the program. Breaking news, Von Miller traded to the LA Rams, and that deal just going down just a few moments ago, being reported by Adam Schefter, and I want to get back to that coming up here in just a minute. I want to also remind you that our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the 555 ending. 555 is ending, and they got great deals. They got all kinds of good deals going on at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. But over the weekend, and I wanted to bring this up specifically because I had a friend of mine that said, hey, tell me about the doors and windows. You talk about them all the time. And I basically reiterated what I've said to you to them. And it's not a lie. It's not like you make it up and say, well, this is what we're thinking, or that, this is their spiel. No. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin are quality. They're just really good. I've always said that. I've always felt that. I enjoy them and having them in my house. So I look at it as, if you're going to go and add value to your home, if you're going to go and try to make your home more economical, there's really no other deal to go with. It's that simple. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, as we all know, fall is here. Many windows and doors installers seem to be preparing for, the hibernation till spring. Pella Windows and Doors, they're year-round,
and they can get you done and get you ordered and such in as little as a day. Okay, then you order the windows, they custom cut, custom assemble, then they come over and custom install, and they can get it done in as little as a day. You should know that every Pella installer goes through rigorous mandatory Pella certification every year, and better still, 6 different lines of windows and styles to fit your lifestyle. In addition to that, they also have windows within any budget. So through November 30th, you can choose Pella windows and doors featuring an offer of no payments and no interest for 12 months, plus 20% off of labor, which is huge. Again, energy costs on the rise, so make your home more energy efficient and more valuable. Stop by and check out our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, and they can get you done. So the breaking news of the day, Von Miller traded away from the Denver Broncos, goes to the LA Rams for a couple of second-day draft choices, which is big news within itself. And then I wanted to take a peek. I thought, because there's a couple of people who said, well, if this was a deal a few years back, it might mean something. Von Miller listed as the 6th best graded outside pass rusher, edge rusher in the entire National Football League. You've got Myles Garrett, who is simply fantastic with Cleveland, Max Crosby, playing for Las Vegas, Randy Gregory for the Dallas Cowboys, T.J. Watt, Nick Bosa, and then Von Miller. And Von Miller, when you talk about pass rush, Von Miller he's fallen off. He's not what he once was, because that's really what he is. He's dropped down significantly. He's sitting at about number 14, 15 right now. But as a rush defender, as a run defender, he's second best when it comes to grading out in the National Football League. He's 6th best overall, but the pass rush aspect of his game, which is where he was so good, you got Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Randy Gregory, T.J. Watt, Jerry Hughes, Chandler Jones. I mean, you start going through the list, Joey Bosa coming out of the Chargers organization. And where he was so good for so long, he has fallen off, and fallen off quite dramatically. As a matter of fact, Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers rates higher than Von Miller does. So you're right. In Von Miller, not going to draw you a first-round draft choice, but maybe you look at it as to say where his skills are now, what he's doing now, maybe, just maybe, his value is right about that second day. So for those that say Denver got hosed, maybe they didn't. If they're going to get a second-round draft choice and a third-round draft choice out of this deal, a couple of guys that could come in and be impact players, or at least expected to be impact players right now with the Denver Broncos, getting those draft choices from the Rams. With the Rams, clearly they're trying to push their chips to the middle of the table and say they're going for it. When you look at that, you say, you know what, Von Miller, for what they got him for, not a bad deal. Maybe Denver did not get hosed in that deal after all, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Also, the other big news of the day, the Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry, their running back, out for the season. He's got a break in his foot. He's going to have season-ending surgery. Jameis Winston suffered a significant injury as well. They think he might be done for the season. You've got the Vikings defensive end, Danielle Hunter. It looks like he's got a torn pectoral muscle. Most likely he was downgraded from questionable out of the beginning of the third quarter. Wasn't seen on the sideline at halftime. They believe he might be out with a confirmed diagnosis that he received at the stadium with a torn pectoral tear that would sideline him for the rest of the season as well. So some significant injuries outside of the Packers organization. Then Robert Tonyan, and also their running up, their backup to the backup running back, Kylan Hill, and kickoff returner. He is out as well for the Green Bay Packers. So a lot of injuries throughout the National Football League. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk a little bit about what's going on down here at Potowatomi Hotel Casino, as they've got some events that are back. And in addition to that, our charity is involved in a roundabout way, which is Fisher House, Wisconsin. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, Packers fans, this season when the Packers win, you win at Quick Trip. A win on Sunday means buy one, get one. Pothole pizzas on Monday. That's right. When the Packers win, stop by any Quick Trip to buy one, get one Pothole pizza the day after the game. You can choose from Take It Cheesy, Pepperoni, Sausage Palooza, Meat Sweats, and our latest creation, Kitchen Sink, with, you guessed it, a ton of delicious toppings. Pothole Pizza, the official pizza of Lambeau Field. Quick Trip, big on pizza, big on Packers football.
Check, 1, 2.
Okay, yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
Heymanson. Yeah, okay. Just making sure.
Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
Mike Clemens
The
doing his
Packers
report.
get the win, 24-21 over the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams now with 7-1 records. The Packers dominated the time of possession thanks to 151 yards total rushing, led by A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. How important was the run game for Green Bay? Aaron Rodgers.
That was the key. That was definitely the key. That's what we want to do coming in. Felt like we could run the ball against them. I thought both guys ran the ball well.
The Packers defense managed to keep Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray in the pocket most of the night.
It's unfortunate to lose like that, but, hats off to them. Good team, We definitely didn't play up to our capabilities. You get beat when you're playing a good team like that. So
Then with just 15 seconds left, Murray tried to throw the winning touchdown to A.J. Green, and instead, Rasul Douglas came up with an interception.
Yeah, I knew I was going to get a pick. Just based off my film and me being here, I was like, I feel like throw a ball at me,
and I'll have an opportunity to make a pick.
Some serious injuries in the game. Cardinals' Jonathan Ward had to be carted off with a neck injury after colliding with return man Kylan Hill on a kickoff. Hill left with a knee injury, and late in the third quarter, Robert Tonyan left the game with a knee injury after catching a 33-yard pass from Rodgers. Head coach Matt LaFleur had this to say about the Packers tight end after the game.
I don't want to speak too much on that right now. I'm sick for Bobby. He means so much to this team, and whether that's long term, I don't know. But I am sick for him. I'm sick for us. My heart goes out to him.
That's Matt LaFleur. I'm Mike Clemens. Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. We are broadcasting live. We're down here at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. And Mike Clemens, by the way, brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, a mile from Lambeau Field. A perfect stay for a family. If you're going to bring the family up, stay over there. The Bay Family Restaurant. Home cooking 7 days a week. And the Bay Motel right there on South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them today for reservations. 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441. Or just simply go online, baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Ryan Amundsen joining us here. He's the PR director for Potowatomi Hotel Casino. How you been?
I've been well. Thank you for having me.
Good to be back. It's just good to have people walking around here again.
Good to have you back. Yeah, big day here. We are really excited to be opening our table games today, and as you can see,
you can see some people behind us.
It's filled up, man.
Yep.
For a Monday morning, that's a pretty big crowd over at our pit.
And you got some things going on all throughout the casino and the hotel and everything, but the table game's opening back up. Why is this a big deal? Let's start there.
I think, well, not only for business purposes, obviously, this is a game that our guests love playing and love sitting down at the table. There's a social aspect to it. We did have electronic table games, and we still have some of those electronic table games on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But having live dealers is huge. I mean, that's what a casino is. And we're really happy to be able to bring those back to our guests today. We'll be opening up some more games throughout the month of November. So right now you can sit down and play roulette. You can sit down and play blackjack. But yeah, we'll be opening more and more in the next few weeks.
So you guys have teamed up with Bally Sports, and you've got an event, and then obviously the Fisher House Wisconsin is involved in that as a charity of choice and such, and which, by the way, we say thank you.
Of course.
To everything down, because the one thing that people don't realize, you guys do a lot of different things regarding charitable events as well.
Yeah. So another thing we wanted to bring back after shutting down virtually for 3 months at the beginning of the pandemic, and then we had limited operations, still have limited operations, but we're getting back to those kinds of things. And one of the things that Potawatomi Hotel and Casino has been known for is giving back to the community. And so when we cut the ribbon this morning on table games, we wanted to make it more than a ribbon cutting. So what we did was we had a charity blackjack game. So the first hand of blackjack that was dealt today, we had 5 members of the media. Bally Sports was here. Dario Melendez was here to play a game for the Fisher House. They walked away with $5,000, which is
awesome.
Great. We gave away $13,000 altogether. Just really happy to be able to combine both the fun of opening table games and the fun of giving away to some really great causes here in town.
Well, first of all, on behalf of the Fisher House organization and as a board of director member, thank you so much for doing all of that. But I do want to ask you about some of the other things, because are shows back? Is the theater open? Are all the restaurants open? The fire pit, or was it the fire pit?
Fire pit, yeah.
Sports bar and grill. Is all of that open now too?
We're getting there, yeah. So the Northern Lights Theater opened up in late September, and we've been having a show or two a week in there. We have our Bonkers comedy series every other week in there too. So yeah, we've been bringing in some really good performers, both on the musical side and the comedy side. So that's been open, and we've got shows booked through the end of the year into January, I think now. So yeah, that's open. Restaurants, we have 2 open for dine-in, dining. And then we have 1 to go. Fire Pit is still to go, but Ruyi, which is our awesome Asian restaurant, if you haven't had a chance to come on here and eat at Ruyi, it's great. You can sit and enjoy your meal in Ruyi. And then our hotel restaurant, Canal Street Cafe, is open for our guests, not only who are staying in the hotel, but you can come in off the street and have a great meal in there too.
That was going to be my next question, because the hotel industry took a beating as well with travel being down, and travel's starting to come back. People are venturing out to different destinations. So are you getting the tour buses? Are you getting the hotel completely full? Are you, because you guys, just as the pandemic hit, you were just finishing up that second tower, and things were expanding, and nobody saw it coming.
Right.
But it's like everything opened, and then bam, all of a sudden the world changed.
Yeah. So we had our grand opening for our second hotel tower, I believe in August of 19, and 6 months later we were hit with the pandemic. So it caused a hit to our bottom line here. But yeah, we're starting to see people come back in. I think, the biggest thing with us, just as it is with the rest of the service industry, is finding people to come back to work too. So that's been a challenge for us as well. We're slowly but surely seeing people come back. Our numbers are up from an employment standpoint. We are, just like a quick plug here, we are having a career fair here on Wednesday from 2 to 6 p.m. For positions throughout the casino. So if you're looking for a job or know somebody looking for a job, it's a great place to work. We're selling fun, honestly, and this is they treat us really well. Benefits are great. $1,000 cash bonus for those that are hired. So if you're looking for work, but yeah, that has been an issue. Finding people to come and work. But again, we're not alone. It's not exclusive to us. Throughout the service industry, it's been an issue.
I was going to ask you about the rest of this gaming industry, because we know the state of Wisconsin has a lot of different hotels and casinos and such. And is this something that is impactful more here in Milwaukee that you're finding in the city, or as you start to expand, it changes because of the demographics, because of the locations, because of the size or lack thereof of cities? Or is it that it's just a little more difficult because we're in a larger the largest metropolis in the state of Wisconsin?
As far as employment goes?
Employment, people coming back. I mean, the mandates and such. Is it easier, or is it rougher here?
I don't think from a mandate standpoint it's been too difficult. I think people want to get out and play, right? And people want to break those chains of the pandemic, get out, have fun, see people, see live people, not the ones you're talking to on Zoom or whatever. So I think we've seen our numbers go up and up and up and up with people with things like expanding our slot floor and opening up our restaurants and opening up the theater. Our guest counts have gone up, and I think with table games opening now, that's a whole new group of people that can come in and have fun, and they've been waiting for it, right? We've been working really hard to get back to pre-pandemic operations, and slowly but surely we're getting there, and we'll have some more fun announcements in the coming months as far as other restaurants opening, other tables opening. So yeah, it's been a slow road to recovery, but we're getting there.
What about events? Different events in the convention center.
Sure.
What about events when it comes to meetings, corporations, things like that? Is that come back as well?
Yeah, seeing an uptick in that. We're going to be hosting our first meetings here in the next few weeks. So again, another facet of the business that we had expanded because the hotel expanding too, that kind of went kaput with the pandemic. But now we're starting to see people booking more events here. Again, that's a whole different audience for us too. People coming in here for professional conferences and other events, galas. So we're looking forward to opening those doors too.
As you had mentioned, it's tough to find people to work, and there are some people that are, I don't want to say getting paid to stay home, but are making a little bit more sitting at home because their job was eliminated or because of the pandemic. Are you seeing an uptick in people that are coming in saying, I got a little bit of extra discretionary income, I'm going to sit down and play here today?
Like I said, I can't get into specific revenue numbers, but I know the last few weekends have been busy.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Well, good for you guys. Well, thanks again so much for doing that and kind of kicking things off table gaming wise and doing it for a charitable event. And $5,000 for the Fisher House is absolutely fantastic. Wow. Thanks to you guys.
Of course. Yeah.
For being a part of that. This has always been a staple. I mean, I got friends that come here, and obviously, hey, when the Bucks were going through the championship run.
Sure.
How much of a boon did you guys see out of that?
We did see people coming in after the games. Sure. Yeah. We were still limited in operations here. Restaurants were still closed down for dine-in seating or from dine-in experiences.
Timing is everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Okay. I think we saw a little bit of an uptick, and people slowly but surely, through the spring and the summer, we started seeing more and more people.
Right.
So I don't know if it was directly connected to the Bucks and their success on the court, but things are improving. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Brewers and the Bucks bring you a lot more people to the area.
Hope so.
Real soon.
Hope so.
Ryan, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for hanging over with us. Okay?
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys doing your thing down here.
There we go. Ryan Amundsen, he is joining us here, and we got a lot more to get to. Hour number 2 is down. We got 2 more hours yet to go. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, injuries continue to ravage the Green Bay Packers. The latest is a pair of season-ending knee injuries for tight end Robert Tonyan and running back Kylan Hill. That happened in the Packers' win over the Arizona Cardinals. More from head coach Matt LaFleur.
Bobby's a tough one to replace. I mean, he's a guy that's so versatile in terms of both in the run game and in the pass game. And luckily, we have some good depth there, and so it's going to be kind of by committee, There's going to be some things that we might have to adjust in terms of how we game plan, just putting guys in different spots. And, we might have to shake up some of the personnel a little bit. But that's something that we'll certainly look at moving forward.
The Packers, who are just one of 3 teams to be sitting at 7-1, now turn their attention to the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll go to Arrowhead this Sunday for a 3:25 kickoff. Saturday saw Graham Mertz rush for 2 touchdowns and pass for 1, while Braylon Allen rumbled for 104 yards in the Wisconsin Badgers' 27-7 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes for a homecoming at Camp Randall. The Badgers, who still control their own destiny in the West, go to Rutgers this Saturday for a 2:30 kickoff against the Scarlet Knights.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
The Milwaukee Bucks have now dropped 3 straight games at home following their 107-95 loss to the Utah Jazz last night at the Pfizer Forum. The Bucks, who sit at 3-4, are 10th in the Eastern Conference and will travel to Detroit tomorrow night to take on the Pistons for a 6 o'clock tip. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. It's hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show, live down here at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. Gets underway, and man, that is fantastic. $1,000 they raised today as they opened up their table gaming, and Dario Melendez playing for Bally Sports, and the charity of choice for Bally Sports today was Fisher House, Wisconsin. And as somebody that loves the community and somebody else that's a member in the community and somebody that works, with the board for Fisher House, Wisconsin, to get that kind of investment today is fantastic. So a deep, heartfelt thank you to everybody down here, to Bally Sports, to Potowatomi Hotel Casino, Dario Melendez, and just everybody that donated that money. That's really cool. That's really cool. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do it. Again, 877-867-1670. You can hit us up. By the way, a torn ACL. It's been confirmed Jameis Winston out the remainder of the season for the New Orleans Saints. So there you go. That was something that they were talking about earlier today, as Sean Payton had said, it was a significant injury, and it was confirmed that it is indeed a torn ACL. So the Medical Monday continues to grow as the Green Bay Packers, they have their own issues, which we found out a lot about on Friday. As we know, Robert Tonyan, Kylan Hill, both gentlemen out for the season. And the injuries continue to mount. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you haven't heard, the running back for the Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry, done for the year, out. He's got a broken bone in his foot. You've got, obviously, the backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, in for the Cowboys. They're waiting for Dak Prescott to return. He's got his own issues. We had mentioned just a couple of moments ago, Jameis Winston down for the season. Danielle Hunter with a torn muscle in his chest, torn pec muscle for the Minnesota Vikings, done for the year. So today the injuries continue to mount and the news not great. However, we are hoping that the news continues to trend in the correct direction, in the positive direction for the Green Bay Packers. You're hoping to get MVS back. I don't know if they're going to get David Bakhtiari back this week or next. We'll wait and see. But you would assume Alan Lazard will be back, not showing any signs of COVID. And then you're hoping to get Devontae Adams back as well. At some point, you'd love to get Jair back. They're talking now about the target of December to get Za'Darius Smith back, which, if you get him back at all, that's huge news. Because when they said that he had a back issue and had to have surgery, that's pretty much you write it off. The season's done. But to have that surgery be successful, to have him say that he feels like a new man, to have him say that he's back and he wants to start training again and getting ready for the season, that's huge news. So maybe you get this team in a weird way, that a lot of the injuries that really hurt this team that they've been able to overcome and continue to book wins. All of a sudden, at the end of the season, I've always said, you got to be good. You got to be healthy, you got to be hot, and you got to be lucky. Well, maybe they're healthy and hot and a little bit lucky for the timing of all of this, all at the same time as the effort towards the end of the year. Think about that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. In the meantime, you've got the Wisconsin Badgers getting a nice win over the weekend, knocking off number 9 Iowa, and now you just wait and see what the rest of the Badgers season holds. They don't have a ranked opponent the rest of the way. However, if you can climb out of this with the next 4 wins, get Paul Bunyan's axe, and find yourself winning the West, you may vault yourself right into a really solid bowl game. Now, you're not going to get into the Final Four, but let's just say you get another opportunity to face Ohio State. Of all years, do you knock off Ohio State? Do they have it? Ohio State has not looked great by any stretch of the imagination. Can the Badgers do this? Can they not only reclaim via wins their season, but could they do the unthinkable? And that is knock off the Ohio State Buckeyes, which after week 4, you thought there's no way in hell. But can that happen? Because we know now Ohio State's in the driver's seat pretty much with Michigan going down. Now they still have, I believe, Michigan State to deal with before it's all said and done. But can that happen? Can they? And not to say that you wouldn't want to knock off Michigan State, because you would. Let's be honest. You would want to knock off Michigan State. But let's just say, for blanks and giggles, when you look at the end of this season, because Michigan State, the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to face Michigan State the second to last game, and then the last game they face number 9 Michigan. So they have Michigan State and Michigan. So before it's all said and done, Michigan State, you'll figure out as to whether or not they are indeed going to be the East champion, because they're going to have to get past Ohio State at the Shoe, by the way, where Ohio State then has to turn around the next week and travel to the Big House in Michigan. And let's just say they beat Michigan State but lose to Michigan. Well, Ohio State with 2 losses would then be out. And then Michigan State, having the head-to-head with Michigan, would then become the de facto East champion, and that's who the Badgers would face. Now, you always would love to face the nemesis, the one that's had your number for years and years and years, Ohio State. But can you imagine getting to the postseason in the Big Ten championship and having to face a Michigan State team rather than an Ohio State team? So maybe all the chips fall into place for the Wisconsin Badgers would be fantastic. Who do you think is a better team, Ben, in the East? Is it Ohio State or Michigan State?
Right now, I'd say Ohio State, even though they're definitely down from the last 4 or 5 years. Out of those 3 teams at the top of the East, I would much rather face Michigan State just because of the matchup. They're such a run-heavy team with a great run game, but Wisconsin can shut down any run game in the country. Michigan scares me because we saw what they did to the Badgers, and Ohio State is still Ohio State.
And Michigan State, they have Purdue coming up, then Maryland, then Ohio State, and then they've got to face Penn State. So the end of their season is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So Ohio State facing Michigan State and Michigan in back-to-back weeks, and then Michigan State still having to face Purdue, still having to face Ohio State, and then facing Penn State to end their season, as then Ohio State will be at the Big House facing Michigan. So the East is still up for grabs to a certain extent. Michigan State holds their fate in their own hand. They win out, it's done. It's theirs. But if they start to stumble, then you could find Ohio State leaping up there, or even Michigan before it's all said and done, leaping up there with only one loss. So many cool things, interesting things going on via the Big Ten right now. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Then the breaking news of the day, Von Miller traded away for a second-round and a third-round draft choice. He goes from Denver to the Rams. And don't forget, the Rams are going to be the team that's going to be coming in and facing the Green Bay Packers not long from now. So when you look at the schedule for the Green Bay Packers and you think, okay, you've got next up on the docket Kansas City Chiefs, you got a couple of games that are winnable. Then just before the bye, you got the Rams. You're going to have to face the Rams before it's all said and done. Can the Packers get a win there? And, it's I think the 2 teams that pose the biggest threat for the Packers at this point would be the Rams coming into Lambeau Field, or that trip to the East Coast and facing a team vying for the top spot in their division, and that would be the Baltimore Ravens. Those 2 teams, I think, are the only 2 teams that would pose a threat to the Green Bay Packers. The Rams on November 28th and the Baltimore Ravens on December 19th. That's it. Other than that, I think they're going to beat the Chiefs. I think they're going to beat Seattle. Now, Seattle is for that November 14th game at Lambeau Field. That's when they're eyeing the return of Russell Wilson, if they can just hang on. But then the Packers have to go on November 21st to take on the Vikings. I think the Vikings are dead in the water. I think this is the end of Mike Zimmer. I think this is the end of Matt Nagy. I think both of those franchises, not that they're necessarily going to rebuild, but both of those franchises are going to try to bring in a coach that can get a couple of accentuation pieces and then elevate those teams into the postseason. And then the Packers after that have the Rams, who I had mentioned. Then the Bears, and that's at Lambeau Field. The Packers are going to be favored to win that game. They got to go on the road to Baltimore. My assumption is the Packers will be favored to win that game, but that's probably their toughest one of the bunch. Then Cleveland comes in for that Christmas Day game before you face the Vikings and the Lions. There's only 2 more games in which you would assume the Packers are really going to have a struggle to win those contests. And if they finish the season at 14-3, you're probably vying for the top spot in the NFC. The division will long be over by then. You may win the division on November 28th facing the Rams if you get the win. You may win the division by then. But you are still vying for the top spot in the NFC. And then, obviously, you'd rather be the home team with a bye, or you'd like to be at least the second-level team, that second-seeded team, to face one of these lesser teams that are sitting there right now in the conference. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Go ahead and give us a shout. Got some emails to get to, and obviously our buddy Steve chiming in. He said, do you think that the Packers should take a shot at trading for Evan Ingram with Tanyan being out for the year? I think when we talked to Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press-Gazette, a little bit earlier, he said that would be something that you would think is on the table. But as to whether or not it actually is going to happen, we'll wait and see. And Mark and Mike both had stated a little earlier in the email saying that the Ingram trade will never happen. It's not what the Packers do. It's a different year for the Packers, though, remember. If you believe that you're sitting there at this point right now, kind of the last dance scenario, and that there is a possibility, let's say you do get Rodgers back, but at what cost? Do you get Rodgers, but yet you lose Jair, Devontae, some of these other guys that are coming up on contracts? Now, Devontae, we know if he decides to walk at the end of the season, he's gone. See ya, sayonara. But let's just say you may lose a couple of these guys because this team's not going to look the same going into next year. They just can't afford it. So regardless, if this is kind of that last dance scenario, I think you try to do anything and everything you can to bolster every position. So could it happen? Yeah. He also says, great football weekend for Wisconsin. The Packers proved they can play against anyone without several key players. Very excited about getting Devontae, Bakhtiari, Josh Myers, possibly back on the offensive side, as well as Jair and Kevin King. They're going to be a threat to anybody they play this postseason. Yes, I'm a believer they're going to make it to the Super Bowl in February. Bucky started pounding the rock the past couple of weeks, and it was impressive on Saturday against a very tough Iowa defense, as we had mentioned. I mentioned this last week. The first team to 20 was going to win. The defense is awesome, and I say at least that they may have the best linebacker in the NCAA, Leo Chanel, Nick Herbig, Jack Sanborn, Noah Burks. Fast, physical, the best. Lastly, UW, the Warhawks rolling again. I think Coach Bullis has them geared up to make another deep D3 run for the playoffs. For anyone that has not seen this team in person, really should go to the Perkins Stadium, by the way, to catch a home game. The facility absolutely gorgeous, and the talent level for football is top-notch. I hope you can arrange to get Coach Bullis back on weekly. Good stuff, and that's our buddy Steven Richfield. Steve, thanks for the email, man. Appreciate it. It was a good weekend of football. No doubt. This is from Angie. Angie says, with the injuries to the Green Bay Packers, how does this affect their depth on special teams? I think where it hurts most is losing Kylan Hill. He was your bona fide kick returner. He was the first time you've had a bona fide kick returner in a while in Green Bay. So that's where it hurts you the most. Robert Tonyan, no, it's coverage and such. And it's not going to hurt you that much. But for your kick return, between Hill and Rodgers, Amari Rodgers, they finally started garnering some yards. And they weren't dead last in return yardage anymore. They were not impressive, but at least getting back to respectability. Now the special teams have not been great by any stretch of the imagination, but they've been better. And with those two guys returning kicks and punts, they have, like I said, climbed back to respectability. And notably what Pete Doherty at the Green Bay Press-Gazette a little bit earlier on the show had to say was that, when they were talking in San Francisco, that they kicked it out of the end zone instead of running time off the clock down the stretch in that ball game. And it's because Kylan Hill has become somewhat of a bona fide threat. They didn't want to give him a return possibility to get it out to the 40 or midfield or beyond, and then set up the scenario that ultimately played out. So, like I said, respectability was probably the biggest factor. Jason says Von Miller traded to the Rams. Sure thing. Yeah. We talked about that a little while ago. That was the breaking news about an hour ago, as a matter of fact, that Von Miller for the Denver Broncos now on the move. I've got an update on the poll question as well. The poll question today, now that we have seen the John Wick costume from one Aaron Rodgers, should Aaron go ahead and cut the hair? For some people that were concerned about that. And the poll question is now close to 250 votes. Now that Halloween is over, should Aaron Rodgers cut the hair? Yes, get back to being Aaron, or no, you're winning. Don't F with the streak. We'll tell you what the results of the poll are, or at least as it continues on when we come back. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live today. We are down at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Been with us a long, long time. Thanks to them for being a part of the program as well. Got a lot more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will be in 30 seconds.
Station you on now? Based out of Madison, but we're on a bunch of different stations in the state. We'll be back on a
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Saying hi to John, listening to us in Bahrain, and listening after work, 8 hours ahead of Milwaukee time, Central Time here. So, John, thanks for taking a listen to us in Bahrain. Man. This one's from Perry, says Ingram possible. Pack has around $5 million left, and the Giants paid Ingram about $3 million, so he's affordable, worth a fourth. If you do, he'd be there to play next year as well. Maybe he can re-sign him and not have to wait on Robert Tonyan. There's a lot of talk about Ingram possibly being a target, so we're just kind of waiting to hear if the Packers, because the trade deadline's approaching fast and furious here in the next 24, 36 hours. So, and really less than 36, obviously. But you're waiting to find out if the Packers are going to make another move. This is from Sean. Sean says, "Hey, Unit, do you think the Packers have any money to spend and are willing to spend it? In what position would you prioritize first and foremost?" Boy, that's a great question. You could look at the linebacker position. You could look at because Jalen Smith just isn't working out, so you wonder what his shelf life is going to be. You could always get another tight end that we've talked about. I would get maybe a backup running back just in case you lose Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon. That would be, or God forbid both, that would be almost devastating when it comes to the ability to run the football. Losing Kylan Hill, you don't have that legit returner in the kick game right now. Maybe Malik Taylor goes back to being that guy. Or maybe you use Amari Rodgers back there or something. So you wait and see. But yeah, they've got some needs, but no need is dire unless they sustain one more injury. You know? 877-867-1670. Derek says, I'd stick with what we have now. You have tight ends, and if he doesn't mesh with Aaron, he won't be there anywhere. Won't be the man anyway. Talking about Ingram, which a lot of people talking about whether or not Ingram could possibly be a target for a trade for the Packers. But let's think about this. You've got Mercedes Lewis. You've got that Swiss Army knife that they wanted to use anyway, and Josiah DeGuara, Dominic Daphne. You still have a guy on the roster in Tyler Davis. You've got 4 tight ends. You lose Kylan Hill, so you're down to strictly Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. You need another running back, right? You need another running back. Out of that defensive front, you still have Preston Smith. You're hoping to get Za'Darius back at some point. You got Garvin, Devondre Campbell, Barnes, Jalen Smith, Whitney Merciless, Rashawn Gary. You're kind of thick there as well. What other position is a position of dire need? You know, luckily you don't have one, but I'd almost just say that the biggest need you have is to find a kick returner. Right? A kick returner, I think, is probably your biggest need right now. 877-867-1670. Chime in if you got a comment or a question. 877-867-1670. It's a great question. But, yeah, you're probably that's probably your biggest need. Packers going into that contest without their top 3 wide receivers, top 2 corners, all-pro left tackle, all-pro pass rusher, their starting center, defensive coordinator, and they knock off the Arizona Cardinals. You don't have a lot of dire needs. What you have is situational, positional players, depth players. So in a season in which you're kind of looking at this as the last dance, maybe they do make an accentuation piece, but I don't think your back's up against it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Gino says, Bill, the Mad Deviant does again with his no trading. What is wrong with that full Brian Gutekunst, the pseudo Mad Deviant? That's what he is. That's from our buddy Gino. Von Miller's not a necessity. And although the Denver Broncos paying, I think, $9 million, if I read correctly, $9 million of that salary. By the way, the Ravens linebacker Malik Harrison shot last night. Shot in the calf. He's going to be down for a while. Non-life threatening, but got shot in the calf. How about that? So you wake up today with an injury, and it's not even something that's related to the field. Yeah, the Ravens linebacker. That's all over SportsCenter now and being confirmed. Beckett says, you tell me what the best team in the National Football League is. A lot of wannabes, but nobody head and shoulders above the rest. We were talking about that earlier. What team right now represents the best when it comes to being overall head and shoulders? Buffalo, I think, is certainly good. They've got a couple of losses. The Ravens, they got a couple of losses. The Titans season is now over. Derrick Henry's gone. So take the Titans and anybody in the AFC South out of the equation. Do you believe in the Raiders? I think I believe in the Chargers more than I do the Raiders, to be quite honest with you. Justin Herbert, an up-and-comer, and what he's been able to accomplish. So the best team in the AFC is who? And here's the other thing. When it comes to the New England Patriots, have been impressive. They've been all of a sudden able to garner a few wins. They've won 2 in a row with Mac Jones. Not that they're a great team by any stretch, but for people that wanted to knock Bill Belichick and say you couldn't win it all without Tom Brady, just give him a little time. And here's another note. Cam Newton can't find himself even a phone call for a job. Not that I'm shocked, but that seems to be a big deal. And here's one note that's a little bit disconcerting. Davante Adams not present at practice this morning. Still needs 2 consecutive negative COVID tests within a 24-hour period. Davante Adams not at practice today. He is not back yet. Alan Lazard is. MVS is for the first time since week 3. David Bakhtiari is. Kevin King is. And Dennis Kelly is. But no Davante Adams today at practice. So that's a little bit disconcerting. You hope that Davante's able to come back because you put him, MVS, you get that whole crew back together, including Alan Lazard. And with that porous, Kansas City defense, you'll be able to blow the lid off that thing. Now, this is not a walk-through, pushover game by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it in the sense that you can book it the Packers are going to win. I think the Packers are going to win. I'm going to sit here today with or without Davante Adams. I think the Packers are going to win this thing. We'll say 27-24, 27-21, something like that. I think it'll be close, but I think the Packers get a win. I don't know about a nail-biter, but we'll say, 27-24, Packers get the win. Maybe 28-24, something like that. But I think the Packers get a win. I really do. It's still going to be tough, but and you're going to have that, that crowd in what is considered to be the State Farm Bowl, Mahomes and Rodgers. 877-867-1670. Hang in there. We got a lot more coming up. We're broadcasting live down here at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. And we're here today because the table game's opened back up, but more so because they did a celebrity blackjack game this morning. And Fisher House, Wisconsin was the recipient. My charity of choice was the recipient of $5,000 brought in by Bally Sports, which you watch Bally Sports, you watch for the Brewers, you watch for the Bucks. So thanks to Bally Sports, thanks to Dario Melendez, thanks to Potowatomi Hotel Casino, and on behalf of everybody at Fisher House, Wisconsin, not just the board of directors, but everybody that has been through there, that will use that home, those that those that work there and volunteer there. Thanks so much. We certainly appreciate it. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show live coming up.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ella from Pella and the title tones. Game day train, tank 47.
I'm leaving.
Leaving.
On a game day train to Tattletone.
What did Tina get us into?
Come on, Leroy, Wayne, Tausch, we can do this.
I don't know, Gina. I'm just not feeling it.
Same here, Leroy. Yeah, what's our motivation?
Well, with chilly winds sneaking in, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can replace those leaky, stuck, and squeaky windows and doors, and we install year-round.
I was thinking more like matching crushed velvet jacket.
Ooh, in green and gold? Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Listen, how about if we offered Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin fans 12 months, no payments, and no interest?
Maybe.
Plus 20% off installation.
Yeah, that's more like
Now we're cooking with gas.
But only through November 30th. Set your free consultation now at Pella W.
Restrictions apply. See show for details.
Woo, woo. Ooh, that was good. Good, woo, woo.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. You've got a lot of cap charges going into next season for the Green Bay Packers, and they know they're going to be cutting next year. So you may see, as the trade deadline here approaches, you may see them become a little more aggressive as far as who the Packers could be targeting. Well, it's always kind of difficult to figure out. The Packers have already added numerous positions. However, if the Packers are going to make any addition come trade deadline, then it may not be something that you are expecting. It may not be a backup running back or another tight end. It may not go in that direction. You may end up adding like an interior defensive lineman to add help and beef up along with Kenny Clark, somebody of solid ilk. You may see something like that. They have not gotten drastically better in the last few years. Up front, it's basically been Kenny Clark and guys. Now, Dean Lowry's having a better season this year for certain than he had last year. But Kenny's the guy. And those two guys together, Kingsley Keke, he's had some impact plays. Tyler Lancaster, TJ Slayton, they flash, but not consistently. It may not even be a position that you're looking at going, well, you know what? No, this defense hasn't given up a 100-yard rusher yet this year. So they don't need that. Well, maybe you just keep rotating those bodies on the inside. Maybe that's the direction in which they go before it's all said and done. 877-867-1670. Let's go back to the phone calls. Talk to Frank. Frank, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man?
How are you, Bill?
I'm doing well, buddy. What's up?
Just a couple of quick comments. I would, if it were me, I think I would trade for Deshaun Jackson. He's 34 years old. He's still got some fire in the belly. A former teammate of Rodgers at Cal. And I think it would be an interesting addition to the team. He won't give you anything for blocking, like the bigger wideouts do, but he's still a dynamic returner, and he's still got the speed, and I think it would rejuvenate him. And another player, or two players I would target, both are running backs. One is a fellow named Stevie Scott. He played at Indiana. He's a big bruiser. And I think he's with Denver's practice squad. And the other one would be Scotty Phillips from Ole Miss. He's a backup with the Houston Texans, but he's a real jitterbug. I just love that kid coming out of college. And the last one would be Nick Eubanks. I called last week when you weren't on, and I wasn't in my car, so I didn't have the radio on. I guess I kind of made a fool of myself. But Nick Eubanks is a former tight end from Michigan. And, man, I checked all the film I could of him going into this last draft. And he always came up big when they needed him. Mm-hmm. And those are guys that I would really target. But I think Jackson would make an interesting addition to the locker room. And I think he'd be a good role model as well.
Well, Deshaun Jackson, I mean, and Frank, appreciate the phone call. Deshaun Jackson, when you look at his situation, obviously wanting out of L.A., he and the Rams have essentially said that, yeah, they'll go ahead and start entertaining a trade partner for him. That they actually said they're allowing him to look into options for himself and maybe coming to – now, I don't know if they're going to want to trade in conference, but maybe coming to yet another Super Bowl contender with a really good quarterback allows him to maybe flourish here. But, again, whoever you pick up, as you said, he's aging. There's no doubt about that. But when you look at his ability – he's seen just 15 targets through 7 games, and he's played less than 40% of the offensive snaps. Now, maybe he gets more in Green Bay, but where are you going to put him when you get Devontae back? You're going to have Devontae, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who can blow the lid off. You're going to have still an aging and very familiar Randall Cobb. You've got Allen Lazard, one of your best route runners. I don't know where Deshaun Jackson, in trading for him, where he would – I don't know how much he would benefit this team. You know, I don't know what he would do to really benefit this team. Now, I don't even think he has the same speed anymore to be able to say he could be a returner. So I don't know where you would go. I mean, you've got the leading NFL receiver in Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, right now, all out there in L.A. for the Rams. Where are you going to put Deshaun Jackson in the mix with Devontae? I mean, Devontae's every bit as good, if not better. I mean, I believe he's better than Cooper Kupp. And you go down the list from there. Robert Woods is solid. Van Jefferson's solid. But you've got Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Like I mentioned, you already went through Randall Cobb and Allen Lazard, a crisp route runner. Equanimeous St. Brown. I didn't even mention him. Where are you going to put Deshaun Jackson? So I don't think they're going to go in that direction. To me, I think they either go for a backup running back, if at all. Now, that's if at all, because I think whatever offers out there, it's got to be very viable for them. But I think you're either going to go for a backup running back or, like I said before, maybe somebody in the trenches for the Packers that would help this team down low, that could help them with a pass rush, stuff the run, what have you, or just the rotation of big bodies. Hey, our friends at Pine Mountain Resort, look, they've got a lot going on up there. The ski hill's going to be opening up shortly. I hate to say it, but it is. They're going to it's going to be in the 20s this week. Overnight lows, maybe some of these ski hills starts making some snow, or you're getting it ready for the Hunters Weekend, and they've got the condo available up there right now. So if you're looking at getting the condo 5 days worth, Yeah, $250 plus a couple nights for free. How about that? So if you want to head up north and go to Pine Mountain Resort, go to pinemountainresort.com or get a hold of our girl Barb, 906-774-2747, 906-774-2747. You can get that weekend booked. They've got a wine weekend as the guys do go hunting and the girls want to get away for a wine weekend. You can do that. They've got the ski jump competition coming up this year. They're going to have some World Cup skiing up there. Plus, the ski hill is going to be opening. They're going to have ski school up there. 906-774-2747, 906-774-2747. That's Pine Mountain Resort. Go to pinemountainresort.com. That is pinemountainresort.com. Get a hold of Barb, tell her we sent you, and ask for the Bill Michaels special, whatever that happens to be that particular day, that particular moment. 906-774-2747. Going to talk a little bit more about Pottawattamie Hotel Casino when we come back. While we're here today, stay tuned. We still got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's so weird. And some people say it's the free money. Others say that people just didn't want to go back to work. They're spending nest eggs.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers in meetings today and a walkthrough practice getting ready for Week 9. Tight end Robert Tonyan out for the year with a torn ACL suffered against the Cardinals. Mercedes Lewis says the 27-year-old Tonyan is always eager to learn.
He's always in my ear. Like, there's not a moment where he's not asking me something. it can be football, life, financial stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, he's always in my ear, always texting me, always calling me. And he's been like that since I met him. If you're able to put things in perspective that way and just hone in every single day on getting better, you're going to get a product like you see what Bobby's doing right now.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
Bobby's a tough one to replace. I mean, he's a guy that's, so versatile in terms of both in the run game and in the pass game. And, there's going to be some things that we might have to adjust in terms of how we game plan.
So after Mercedes Lewis, other options at tight end include Josiah DeGora, Dominic Daphne, and Tyler Davis, who's on the roster. He's 24 years old, 6'4", 252 pounds, drafted out of Georgia Tech by Jacksonville, and was signed off the Colts practice squad by Green Bay in late September. Davis spends a lot of time in the weight room and talked about what he brings to the Packers.
My athleticism, number one. That's something that I hallmark. That's my game. My athleticism. That's how I try and beat defenders with my athletic ability to tight end position. So just throw my speed, my change of direction.
That's Packers tight end Tyler Davis. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad to have you. We are inside Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. And we're joined now, Dominic Ortiz and I don't want to say your casino, but you run this place. You kind of oversee everything inside this place. First of all, you got to at least be smiling to see the table games back and more people here this morning walking the floor, and the 360 bar is open, and at least things are starting to inch back towards normalcy.
Absolutely. We thank the Forest County Pottawattamie Nation for providing the resources and the support that we needed to continue to invest in the business and push forward and reopening, knowing that, we don't have all of entertainment running on full tilt right now.
So one of the big things that you guys are excited to at least discuss is the possibility of getting sports betting here inside Pottawattamie, as it starts to become more and more nationally acceptable and more mandated that you can do these things. So first of all, how big of a venture is that for not just you, but for anybody that wants to get into that, whatever casino, whether it's here or whether, as you mentioned, Oneida Nation, or if it's somewhere else? How big of a venture is that?
Yeah, we have seen the expansion of sports betting across the United States. I most recently came from Michigan, where we were working to go live in that environment for the last 2 years. So I've really been engrossed in getting this business up and running. And for Wisconsin and for the Pottawattamie Nation, what we're seeing is that on the horizon, we think in 12 months or less is kind of our hopeful time frame that we would be able to get our compact renewed and get an addendum to add a retail sports book here in the town of Milwaukee, just like you've seen with the Oneida.
So how much jurisdictionally for governmental is this? Is this something at the state level? Is this something at the city level? Is this just something that's national? How much, I guess the bottom line is, we all say, how much red tape you got to go through to finally get that?
Yeah, the red tape starts with the governor. And so really it's between the Pottawattamie and negotiating their compact at that state level, not necessarily a city level, as we are a federal sovereign nation. We do deal direct with the federal government, but on our compact, we negotiate a compact with the state, and those states would give us the ability to move forward and open up this exciting retail sports book here in Milwaukee.
It seems like sports betting has just blown up over the last few years. So what does that mean, influx of dollars, at least estimated, to you? And then obviously there's a give back in all of this when you talk about the compact and the tax dollars and such that then go to the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, for us, we want to be competitive against the surrounding states, and we don't want these sports betting dollars leaving the state. We want them to come back here and be in the town of Milwaukee. So we're talking about our first stop is a physical retail sports book in the town that, with our partnerships with the Bucks and the Brewers, we're able to drive more excitement to a new demographic and give people a more compelling reason to come watch the game and stay in Milwaukee, which I'm really excited about.
You have expanded, obviously, and I look around and there's a whole lot of machines that are new. They're adding a whole new section. I think it's over here. I get lost in this place. I get turned around. They're adding a whole new section. So while COVID hit, it gave you a chance to, I don't want to say refurbish, but it gave you a chance to kind of update and do new things and come up with new concepts and new ideas. And really, when you walk in, there's a different sparkle and a luster and a step to the place.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. We actually just recently opened up 200 more slots in our Sky Lodge upstairs. You know, we want to provide the most spacious and expansive gaming offering in the region. I mean, we have hands down the most luxurious hotel that exists. I mean, you can watch the sunrise over Lake Michigan and suites that would rival Las Vegas. So now it's just they've done a great job and significant investments in the community and the town to build these hotel developments. Now we're going to continue to focus on our core gaming product and really continue to remodel and expand the floor and bring this exciting. It's going to be an amazing stadium style sports bar and sports book that's going to be here on property. So
when because you guys encompass all of it, whether it's gaming, whether it's the bingo, whether it's the sports book, all of that stuff, and then there's the entertainment side of things. You finally got some shows a couple of times a week now back in the Northern Lights Theater. How big of an aspect is the entertainment side of things for all of this?
Yeah, you know what? Those additional amenities are fairly significant to continue to drive our loyal customers and to, more importantly, reach out to those outer markets to get them and draw them into this town, because that's what we want. We want to make this a marquee facility for the town of Milwaukee and drive as much traffic as we can to this downtown area to all of our partners.
Do you find that people come into Wisconsin that they dot around? They'll go to here, they'll go to Oneida, they'll go to Ho-Chunk, they move around, or do you think it's just destinational on the size of the city where they want to go? Because I find it interesting, because we'll do some broadcasts like this in different places, and I'll see some similar faces, and they'll say, no, we wanted to take a junket here, we wanted to go there. So it's going to increase, obviously, the hotel stays in those areas, but also for people that want to go to different destinations for the entertainment, it draws them in, and then they go into the casinos, and then they go into the gambling areas.
No, I think that's spot on. That's exactly what we try and do, is create a full slate of entertainment and entice them. If they've got options and they're, some of our top players and they have choices and they will go to that, that's what helps us continue to bring them back regionally. And Milwaukee has been a very loyal city in the surrounding market and area, and they certainly have shown us that they love to stay and play here.
Is your big New Year's Eve party back this year?
It is. Well, now the big public one. Let me rephrase. The big public one we held off on, but man, we've got an exclusive event for all of our loyal players, and we're also, with the staffing, everything is challenging, and we've talked about that. So, but we certainly look to open up Dream Dance for a limited offering for our top clientele and have a very special experience there as well.
You guys are huge in the food and beverage industry and the hospitality industry, which we know throughout is hurting. What do you think? When do you think the uptick in the return of employees begins?
Yeah, I don't honestly see that happening for
because, like you said, you can't just throw money at it. You can't just say, "Here you go," because people come out, they grab the money, and then they take back off again.
Absolutely, and we've seen a little bit about that. What we're seeing and talking to other economists is we see a 6-month stretch where we think at that point in time that they'll start coming back, but we don't think it's going to be just like a mad rush, open your door and fill in all your positions. I think we're certainly in this for the next 18 months, but I think after a 6 month, we'll see a much better pickup. So we just got to be smart. And really, to me, it's honoring and taking care of the employees who we've stood on their shoulders for the last 20 months, being here at work, keeping the facility open and hoping to retain them and make it a great place to work.
I find the whole sports betting thing, and I could talk to you another hour on that, fascinating. But so you've started the process. You got to go to the governor as soon as the compact is done, and then you can come up with a timeline as to when sports betting will finally be finalized for here, correct?
Yeah, my move on that coming from the industry is we've already got started. So we've been meeting with all the top providers, whether it's B2C or B2B, and pulling them through the tables, having conversations and getting them ready and queued up, because you got supply chain logistics, you got staffing, you got concerns for the headwinds, and we're very excited about the retail sports book. And if there's anything I learned, let's be ahead of the game, get the contracts, everything in place, ready to go. When you tell me we're ready, we're ready.
Well, hopefully we're talking in an entirely new studio here on site next year about this time, which would be fantastic. I've done a few shows in Vegas and some other places around that do a little OTB stuff, so it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of energy and a lot of action there.
Bill, that'll be amazing. I'm going to have the best Super Bowl, March Madness parties that exist. I mean, you come on and we look forward to it.
Love to, man.
Great.
Appreciate it. Dominic, thank you so much for coming over and joining us for a couple of minutes, okay?
Thank you for your time today, Bill.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, thanks for the $5,000 donation to Fisher House, Wisconsin, too.
You got it.
That's awesome, man. Awesome.
Absolutely.
We got another hour yet to go. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show. We are live down here at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Yeah, this is all about radio. We're on 60 markets and live stream, and we actually our live
This is the Wisconsin Sports Zone Update.
Well, the Packers have won 7 straight games. That's after they held on for a 24-21 win over Arizona last night, handing the Cardinals their first loss of the season. Aaron Rodgers threw for 2 scores. Aaron Jones ran for another in the win, but it was an interception by Rasul Douglas in the end zone that sealed the upset victory.
About 15 seconds left or something like that. I know they well in field goal range, so right now it's like, let's try to see if we can get 7 and end it. So I got to make a play. He threw it to my guy. Just made a play.
This is the 3rd time this season that a Packers game has come down in the final seconds, and it's the 3rd time the team has come out on top. They did it without their top 3 wide receivers, all-pro left tackle, starting center, all-pro linebacker, all-pro quarterback, and lost several more guys along the way. Still, Rodgers loves what he's seen on a weekly basis.
I think we're a gritty football team. I think nobody probably expect us to win tonight. Definitely not to be, maybe to be in the game, but definitely not to win with the guys that we had out. I'm really proud of the guys. I feel like we had a lot of confidence.
It was far from all good news. Running back Kylan Hill went down with a knee injury that's going to end his season, while there's major concern about a knee injury for tight end Robert Tonyan. Packers will be back in action next week at Kansas City.
They don't repair cracked helmets, cracked teeth, or cracked stadium seats. They do repair cracked windshields. Complete Auto Glass, windshield repair and replacement, windshield camera recalibration, and more. An insurance preferred service provider with free price quotes and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, you'll be happy to know you're dealing with a local family-owned business who understand their Wisconsin neighbors. Complete Auto Glass, repair and replacement. Visit CompleteAutoGlass.com.
Welcome back to the program, and we are broadcasting live Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. Hour number 4 of the Bill Michaels Show. We're going to talk with Mike Clemens coming in here in just a little bit. And so we were talking with Dominic Ortiz. He's the CEO of Pottawattamie, and we were just kind of going through, because sports betting has become just huge. Online, you've got numerous things now. Before, you couldn't even touch sports betting with an entity like the NBA, NHL, the NCAA, even the NFL. While it drove the sport, they stayed away from sponsorships, and now you've got an NFL team and an NHL team in Vegas, and before that was a no-no, and so now it's just booming. And as he was telling me off the air, that Wisconsin and California, the two most difficult in the sense that they actually have constitutional law in their state constitutions about iBetting and online betting and such, and so some things are different here in the state, and it's fascinating because on one, we don't do really the gambling side of things too much on this program. We're more into the just talk side of things, but the gambling side has really taken over in many statistical and sabermetrical sense. Because people look at so many things when it comes to fantasy football, who does what statistically against what team. I mean, it's amazing that the betting numbers have matriculated down to the actual percentages of wins and losses in games and how you go about it, because that's where really all of that statistical betting or all that statistical accumulation of information began, was through betting. It wasn't just the percentages of time that this happens or that happens. It was betting as to whether or not it could or couldn't happen, and the percentages of times that it actually does that gave the crossover of sabermetrics and analytics from betting into the real sports world, so to speak. So it's fascinating, and I enjoy it. And by no means am I any kind of a guru when it comes to betting. God knows, otherwise I'd be laying in a millionaire's house somewhere. But it's an interesting and fascinating topic. Ben, are you a bettor or just a fantasy football player?
Retired bettor.
Retired by your own choice, or you're just out of money?
Both.
I get it. I'm just one of those guys that every now and then I'll take a bet that I believe is a sure thing, and that's it. I'm not an average player. I'm not a percentage player. I'm not hey, I'll go through and pick the spreads every night kind of guy. I don't do that. When I look at something and I go, okay, this is ridiculous. This is, in my opinion, a guarantee. That's when I'll dive in. And I don't miss a lot, but the problem is I'm very chintzy when it comes to stuff like that. So when I bet usually a little bit larger than I probably should, but I bet more of the sure thing, and I go with lower odds, so to speak, where I believe it's a stronger case. And so there's not, most of the money's on what usually I'm picking anyway. So if I'm betting $100, I may get additional 50 in return or something like that. But very rarely, when I lose, I hate losing. So it'll kill me and shy me away from betting for weeks, months before I decide to throw down again. So I've missed a few.
I'll do it on a Thursday night when it's two bad teams, and I'll bet over 3.5 field goals. That's about the extent of it.
Hey, by the way, when you talk about the visual, so during the interview with Dominic, were you, because the cameras didn't change over, what were you watching? Because I didn't see it.
Oh, it was an old dude just ripping slots.
That's great.
For like 15 minutes.
That's great. The thing about working like this in a casino, and for those that don't know, you have got, security, it's like going through the TSA. Security will check you where your cameras are, what they're focused on. They are watching the stream while we're on it now. It's in so many different ways because you can't, because they're fearful that I'm going to have somebody watching on a stream, looking over somebody's shoulder, expanding the broadcast, getting a card number or watching slots play and how they pay out and percent. It's oh yeah. When I got here, man, they had to set cameras up where they wanted them, where they didn't want them. If I was pointing at a particular patron, I had to turn it off if they had their face exposed, unless they were just passing by. Oh man, it's casinos are tight, man. Tight.
Oh God, they heard your rant on Aaron Rodgers' hair. They didn't take you off air.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. We had a few people that said, "Is this all we have to talk about?" Yeah, well. What's funny is we don't come on and just all of a sudden make an observation and it becomes a topic unless people really begin to take it as a topic. If we made a comment, we talked about the John Wick thing. We talked about possibly cutting his hair, and now you've got almost 350 people that have talked about it or voted on it over on the poll question as to whether or not Aaron should. And I said before, no, I wouldn't. You're winning. You don't change things until you take a loss. Everybody knows that. You got a streak going. You don't change it. But that was the extent of it. So,
by the way,
go ahead.
I don't have the work ethic to look like that guy you tagged me in on Twitter. That can't happen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Somebody had sent a post saying that you got to look like a King Leonidas. I think is how you pronounce his name from 300. Yeah, that's a lot of ab work right there. Now, if you bought one of those uniforms that already comes with the abs built in it, well, then you can go on the beer and brats diet and still have the gut, and nobody will know. But yeah, if you gotta go work like that, that might be a tough way to go. Can you imagine that when they come to you and they say, hey, you got to get in shape and look like this for this particular role in a movie? Now, if you're making millions, you've got trainers and such, maybe that works. But I'd wake up in the morning and look at that and go, it depends on how much you're paying. For $5 million, that would be where I would dedicate myself. Otherwise, I might have to just take the $50 pay that you're going to give me and go buy some ho-hos from Woodman's.
That's why I'm in radio.
Just do that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do so. Rick says Josh Nyman might make an attractive trade piece with David Bakhtiari coming back. I don't know that I'm trading away a safety blanket at this point. I'll say this. Remember, you didn't have enough depth at one point almost at offensive line. I'm scared to trade away any depth. I mean, unless you've got somebody willing to really, really overpay. Draft picks are the commodity with which you trade in the NFL. That's usually what you go for. I admit that the way that Stenovich and company have been able to make linemen this year has been impressive between him and Butkus, but I'm not willing to trade away any depth right now when it comes to the offensive line. I know it might be crazy, but that's just the way I feel. Hey, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Mail Medical, treating guys with ED, erectile dysfunction all over the state of Wisconsin, beyond the borders as well. And if you got ED and you're not calling, I don't know why. Maybe you're the partner of somebody who has it. All you got to do is call 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Now, think about midday, like right about now, you're face first into the computer, you're tired, you're driving, you're working on the construction site, you just don't have the drive anymore. Could be low T. They could help you out with that. Maybe it could be mood swings, thought processes, whatever. They can help you out. Or if you'd like to look like King Leonidas from the movie 300 because Ben Kenny doesn't want to get off his ass and work for it, maybe they can help you out with the all-in-one weight loss program. How about that, Ben Kenny? Maybe they can do that for you. Call them 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That's the New Mail Medical Center again, 414-455-4451. This was from ESPN Steve that says, could you see them trading Bakhtiari to lower the cap room? The tackles that have filled in for him have done pretty well. You don't trade, well, no. No, because for two reasons. One is you're paying Bakhtiari a chunk of change, and he's coming back from a very significant knee injury. You know, if you're going to make a move, you'd like to trade him while he's shown his wares and get the most out of him. And the second thing is when you have the best left tackle in all of football, you're not trading him away. You've paid him. Now, if it's strictly salary cap issues, then yeah, you'd make that move. But who knows? Not right now, coming off the injury, how much of that salary you're going to have to eat. But to answer your question, no, they're not trading Bakhtiari away anytime soon. Joshua says, "Good afternoon. Doesn't a second and third sound like too much for Von Miller? This isn't Miller from 5 years ago. Obviously, the Rams don't like their draft picks." The Rams, yeah, again, it might be Von Miller. We went through the numbers a little while ago when you look at Pro Football Focus for what Von Miller is. And Von Miller, when you look at overall defense, Von Miller is sixth best right now in the National Football League. Myles Garrett, going by Pro Football Focus, for total defense, Myles Garrett rates the highest. Max Crosby with Las Vegas comes in at number 2. You've got Randy Gregory with Dallas, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, then Von Miller. So it's not like Von Miller is not performing. He's not performing at the same level that he was when they won a Super Bowl some years ago. But he's still young enough. I mean, he came into the league in 2011, so he's a 10-year vet, 8-time Pro Bowler. But he's still young enough to be able to get you something for the next few years, you would assume. But he's still being productive. Now, here's the one thing I will say. When it comes to pass rush right now and sacks and such, he falls off the chart. He falls down to about 20th, I believe. He's not the same pass rusher that he once was. He's just not. So, and at 32 and a half, a little bit more than a half years old, 32, whatever it is, Von Miller, for a second and third, I don't want to say LA got hosed or Denver got hosed, but a second round and a third round for a team that's trying to add a few pieces and complete somewhat of a rebuild if they can just find themselves the correct quarterback. I think LA is getting what they want and adding depth to that defense and adding another big name and another guy coming from the outside to work with Donald. Donald. And I also think that a trade, you want to work for everybody. You want it to work for both sides. I think it works for both sides. I do. I think it works for both sides. And again, I agree with you. He's not the pass rusher that he was from a few years ago. But when you look at where you're going to pair him up and where you're going to put him, you know, Aaron Donald is the defensive tackle. You put him as your outside pass rusher. I mean, come on. And right now, they're thin at linebacker, the Rams are, with some injuries. You know, their inside linebacker, Troy Reeder, Howard, their third-round draft choice, kid Jones. That's all they have. Now, that other linebacker position was Chris Garrett, Leonard Floyd, who they picked up from Chicago. But you need another outside pass rusher. And so Von Miller kind of brings that. He fills the void. They needed him. So in the essence is you picked up Matthew Stafford. You think you're within the reach of a championship. You got to add depth to your defense. The defense has actually been scored upon more so this year than they were last year. It's the reason they make the deal. You know? And let's be honest, and Miller's going to become coming up, I believe, on free agency. So, you know, yeah, you're going to give up a little bit more, but you believe that you're making a run right now. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So, yeah, I mean, I think now, as long as he doesn't get hurt, I think the Rams get what they want. Denver gets what they want. They don't have to worry about paying Miller anything more and just letting the face of the franchise walk away. You know, they get something what you would believe would be two starters for him, two young starters, controllable salaries for a few years. So it's not a bad deal for Denver either. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show broadcasting live at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino here in Milwaukee. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show, we continue on. We're broadcasting live down here at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino. Good to have you. And I got a question here about the power rankings in the NFL and if they're going to change dramatically from where they were last week. No, you know what? Not a lot. I mean, look, I think the top numbers change. My power rankings, my top 5 right now. Number 1, Green Bay. Number 2, Dallas. Number 3, Arizona. Number 4, Tampa Bay. Number 5, the Rams. Number 6, Baltimore. Buffalo. 8, Cincinnati falls to number 8. Tennessee is at number 9, but they're going to be done because Derrick Henry, for those that are just tuning in, Derrick Henry with a broken foot, looks like he's going to be out the rest of the season. And then Las Vegas coming in at number 10. That's kind of how I have them. Now, you can maybe make a case if you wanted to that maybe Cincinnati could be higher because ultimately they beat Baltimore and Baltimore is 5-2 and Cincinnati losing. But Cincinnati lost to the Jets. I can't. And even with Tennessee being 6-2, I think it's going to be now without Derrick Henry. It might end up being closer. Not that I think that suddenly Indianapolis is going to pour it on and Carson Wentz is going to become Joe Montana, because I don't think that's going to happen. But that division could become a little tighter if Indianapolis gets a few more wins. Now, the Raiders and the Chargers, I think if I had to flip-flop anything, I would put the Chargers right now at number 10. Even though the Raiders have a better record, and they've won 2 in a row while the Chargers have lost 2 in a row, I think if the Chargers get an upcoming win, the Chargers could find themselves back in the top 10. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Now, you go by some of the teams we just talked about. The Raiders this upcoming week, they're on the road taking on the Giants. The Chargers are going to be taking on the Eagles. The Eagles coming out of that blowout battle that they had with the Detroit Lions. So can the Chargers then go back to the East Coast, who are, by the way, the Chargers are racking up all kinds of frequent flyer miles. Can the Chargers go back to the East Coast and beat the Eagles? If they can, then the Chargers are going to find themselves in the top 10, top 7, 8, 9 maybe. The Ravens have a tough one at home, and the Vikings are coming calling. And this is pretty much it for the Vikings. Vikings lose this game, their season's done. It's gone by the wayside, because it just doesn't appear like they're going to have recover capability. The Cardinals are on the road taking on the 49ers. That'll be a big game. Can the Saints continue to win at home and beat the Falcons? Another good matchup. Even though the records wouldn't indicate it, 5-2 Saints without Jameis Winston, who now has been out for the year. He's got a torn ACL. Can they beat the Falcons? What does Sean Payton do to keep that team winning? Then Cincinnati, who I've said couldn't handle success if they had to. They are at home after losing to the Jets. Here come the Browns, who had a hard-fought game and loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers this past weekend. And the Browns coming in at 4-4 in that rivalry game. So you continue on. You got the Bills taking on a bad Jaguars team, and the Bills are going to continue to win, as I had mentioned. The Packers, who are going to be taking on the Chiefs, and I think the Packers continue to win. You got the Cowboys are going to be at home. They're going to be hosting the Broncos. The Cowboys sitting at 6-1. They most likely will be 7-1 by the time it's all. And now that the Broncos no longer have Von Miller, who's now been traded to the Rams, I see them basically taking that as a move that we're folding up the tents. So a lot of intriguing matchups. And meanwhile, the Patriots, the Panthers have been in somewhat of a free fall. So do the Patriots get a win? And all of a sudden find themselves a game over 500 at 5-4. And Dennis, you're right. How about those Jets? They get a win over Cincinnati with their backup. I know Brett says the Packers are currently an underdog in Kansas City. I think the Packers win that game. I don't think it's by a lot, but I think the Packers are going to win that game. And then you got the Rams. The Rams are going to most likely go to 8-1 because the Tennessee Titans are now what looked like a really good matchup with the Titans at 6-2 in that run game. Now the Rams get Von Miller. Whether or not he plays this weekend, we'll wait and see. But the Rams get Von Miller, and now they've got a depleted, no Derrick Henry Tennessee Titans team coming into L.A., led by Ryan Tannehill. So I think those power numbers are going to shift. I don't know how significantly, but there's, the Rams are going to fall out, or the Titans most likely are going to fall out. The Rams are going to continue to rise. The Chargers, I believe, are going to continue to rise. I think the Raiders, while they get the win, I don't know if they get the win in good fashion over a bad Giants team. And the Giants team playing tonight against Kansas City, we'll see what they show us there as to how good that Raiders win or loss next week will mean. A lot of interesting stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please go ahead and do so. This portion of the program being brought to you by our friends at Dwayne's Cover It All. Our buddy Dwayne up there in Wausau, Wisconsin's best canvas and upholstery and boat cover provider, whether it's interior, exterior, canvases, say awnings and such, or maybe you have some office furniture you need repaired. He can do all of that. Wisconsin's best. Follow him on Facebook and get a good look at what Dwayne does. Go to Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com or call him 715-870-2119. That's Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com or 715-870-2119. Also, don't forget about our friends at Nice Ash, TheNiceAsh.com, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Spent some time down there on Friday night. Tremendous place and a lot of fun. Had a really, really, really good time. And again, Dennis, we've been kind of talking about this afternoon. Do the Packers make a deal at the trade deadline? And if so, what do they go for? Now, whether or not Ingram is the guy that a lot of people are talking about, they bring him in because Tanyan has gone down and keep another weapon for Aaron Rodgers. We'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, do you go with a depleted running back? Running back position now with Kylan Hill out. You need that third-string running back. Also, you need a kick returner. Do they look in that direction? Do they go to bolster additional depth and or strength on that defensive front, which may not be that bad of an idea? There's one obvious help that provides against the run, which can turn the opposing offense one-dimensional and making them ball movement extremely difficult. Even for the best of the offenses out there, if you can pick up another big body to help out Tyler Lancaster and TJ Slayton and Kenny Clark and Dean Lowry and those Kingsley Keke and those guys up front, can they make a move in that area? The Packers sitting at about $5 million in available space at the moment. It's not a lot, but there's enough room for Brian Gutekunst to make an addition as long as he doesn't, go out and get stupid, So we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Some of the interior defenders, Harrison Phillips of Buffalo, Nick Williams from Detroit, Washington's Darren Payne, Steve McClendon of Tampa Bay. Those guys are all sitting out there. Maybe the Packers go in that direction and make a deal. Who knows? So Packers could do something, but it just depends on whether or not they go with a depth guy to just kind of help themselves accentuate and maybe find themselves a returner, or do you try to add more big bodies into that rotation, into that defense? You want to continue to get better. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Coming up next, Mike Clemens is going to join us. Matt LaFleur just wrapped up his visit to the podium, so we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up from some of the cuts that Mike has as Matt LaFleur talks about this week, the Kansas City Chiefs, and some of the injuries that they're going to have to overcome. Stay tuned. Mike Clemens, NFL Sirius Radio, our Green and Gold Insider, coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You still had a one-liner that you always have them, but this was a great one. You told us yesterday, I like our chances because nobody is giving us any. What the heck worked tonight for you?
This is a scrappy team. This is a tough, physical, gritty team. I'm so proud of our guys. Without our defensive coordinator, MVS, the best receiver in the league, Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, our do-it-all guy, to have these guys come out and play the way they did, to watch our defense finish off the game like that on the road against a great football team. Our fans were so loud and they showed up, and we love them. I love this football team. I'm having so much fun with these guys, and I'm going to get in there and celebrate now.
There you go. That is the words of John Wick. In case you didn't know, that's who Aaron Rodgers went out as for Halloween. And the reason, apparently, he's been growing his hair out. Welcome back to the Bill Michaels Show. We are broadcasting live at Pottawattamie Hotel Casino, downtown Milwaukee. We are brought to you by our friends at Skipper Buds. They've got a huge selection of yachts and pontoons and sport and deck boats, but also winterizing your boat and storing it. Call my buddy Todd, 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. Mike Clemens now joining us on the hotline. And Mike, it's still, I still can't believe the Packers won that game. That was still the talk of the weekend for just about everybody that I had seen. And the fact that they get the win, they get a little bit of a reprieve. They've got some, bone mending to do, so to speak, when it comes to healing guys up. But maybe this team gets stronger down the stretch. Who knows?
Yeah, and then they celebrate with the team Halloween costume party over the weekend. And by the way, a quick John Wick story. Like John Wick 3 came out a couple of years ago, and they actually brought the John Wick car. I think that's a Camaro, and they had it on display out in the parking lot. And it was like Thursday or Friday, and I was leaving the locker room, and I said to Rodgers, I said, do you know the John Wick car's out there? He goes, yeah, I know. Nobody told me. I think they had, I don't know if they had a road game or whatever, but he said, when he found out about it, he said, well, when's there a time I could go through? And they said, oh, how about Sunday morning? He goes, I'm a little busy Sunday. Some promotions people came. And that's how crazy he is about John Wick. He wanted to maybe have some pictures taken by the John Wick car while it was on display in the parking lot. But yeah, he came as John Wick, and David Bakhtiari and Frankie, his fiance, they came as Cheech and Chong, and Lucas Patrick and his date came as a couple of characters from the show Yellowstone. I think Kevin Costner's in that one. It's about a ranch. You guys look pretty good in your costumes over the weekend. I saw that. They had this party at a place called the Green Bay Auto Museum and Event Center. It's right downtown. It's like 2 blocks from the newly rededicated Bart Starr Memorial Bridge. And if you look in the window at night, you can see the 67 Corvette that they gave Bart Starr for being MVP of the Super Bowl I.
Wow.
That's now in that museum.
That's cool.
So that's kind of a cool place to have a party. So, yeah, the big story that we've been talking about is Robert Tonyan, tight end, 11 touchdowns last year. They just started getting him back involved in the offense. He's been doing a lot of chip blocking, since they're short on the offensive line. Done for the year, a torn ACL. And when you talk to Mercedes Lewis, what he loves about Tonyan is he's always asking questions, always trying to learn.
He's always in my ear. Like, there's not a moment where he's not asking me something. It can be football, life, financial stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, he's always in my ear, always texting me, always calling me. And he's been like that since I met him. That's why he is where he is right now. If you're able to put things in perspective that way and just hone in every single day on getting better, you're going to get a product like you see what Bobby's doing right now. So definitely proud of him.
Mike, the big question is whether or not the Packers go outside of the organization before the trade deadline, or they believe that they've got enough tight ends in the room to sustain for the rest of the season. What do you think?
I don't know, but every time I see Jared Cook catch a pass, this time now for the Chargers, and then for years past from the Saints and the Raiders, but I'll get over that. In the meantime, they may pull a deal because, to me, the 4 tight ends that they basically had up there were Robert Tonyan, kind of a receiving tight end, and then Josiah DeGuara, who they got back from the ACL. And then on the other side is 2 blocking tight ends, Mercedes, the veteran, and then this Tyler Davis kid out of Georgia Tech, drafted by the Jaguars in the 6th round. He was with the Colts, and the Packers signed him in September. And I found an interview where he talked about, he's known for spending a lot of time in the weight room, 6'4", 252 pounds. And this is this Tyler Davis guy who might get more snaps, at least as a blocking tight end.
My athleticism, number one. That's something that I hallmark. That's my game. My athleticism. That's how I try and beat defenders with my athletic ability to tight end positions. So just from my speed, my change of direction, mainly for these scouts.
So, Mike, that would help maybe if they do go out and make a trade and what's going on with their red zone offensively. Defense, both sides of the football, for that matter, they're struggling right now when it comes to the red zone. So, give me your thoughts on this team and the problems that they're having on both sides.
Well, they ended up winning with 24 points. Rodgers was even joking to Aaron Andrews after the game, like, we can't seem to score more than that. But they're 7-1. As a matter of fact, LaFleur hit a mark now where in his first 40 games, he's won more games as an NFL coach than any other new NFL coach in the Super Bowl era, thanks to Aaron Rodgers and, pretty good roster and everything else, all the other factors. But, that inability to score touchdowns in the red zone the other night, LaFleur will tell you, look, the Cardinals were in their 6-2 defense, 6 big guys on the line, 2 linebackers, a lot of big guys filling every gap, and that caused them a problem. He thought that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon were doing a great job, running the football, but he talked about how much that was a problem for them in the red zone the other night.
Yeah, they had every gap plugged. So basically, if we were to hand off the ball there, they're going to have to run over somebody. And not to say that they can't, because they certainly both of those guys possess that ability to, create their own hole. And they did it many times in that game. But, it's just, we gotta have a better play for the situation. And that's my fault. I think we did have better plays in the plan. I didn't call it. I called a bad play for the situation.
Matt LaFleur that's not the first time he said that, specifically in the red zone. And when Mike, I just can't get past the play calling on, 1st and goal, 4th and goal, not running the football, not giving their offensive line the opportunity. I get what they're saying, but I watched, over the weekend, numerous quarterbacks in goal line situations try to dive into the end zone. They don't do it with Aaron Rodgers. I see it done with Brady. I see it done with Taylor Heineke. So I don't know why Aaron Rodgers doesn't do that or why they don't line up at least A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones in the backfield.
And then you saw the one play where they're, I think it was 3rd down and goal to go, and they're sending out Josiah DeGuara, 81, out to the right. He stops, holds up his hands like, where am I? What am I supposed to do? And so it's at this point that it's revealed that, LaFleur called a play that DeGuara probably never had a chance to rep in practice because Tonyan did that with the ones, and the backup didn't get a chance to do it. That's why he was unsure exactly where he was supposed to put his hand down on that one. That's the confusion. Ben, I'm going to skip ahead to cut 5. LaFleur, when he talks about that, also how much is not having guys like Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, and then Tonyan late in that game Thursday night against the Cardinals, how does that hurt your red zone offense play calling?
Yeah, that certainly played a role on that 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. We obviously didn't do a good enough job of communicating with our guys and exactly where to line up because we were in 13 personnel. And when you lose a guy like Bobby, everybody had a clear, defined role, and now you're running a play that maybe somebody didn't rep. So again, that falls on myself, just putting our guys in that position. We've got to make sure that we clearly communicate exactly what we're going to do and make sure that they can go out there and execute it.
And then, Mike, the other aspect of this, not just the play calling, but the clock management, burning timeouts, coming out of the huddle too late, watching the clock run down. And that's another thing that's been consistently maddening. Last year it was not an issue. This year it's been a pretty consistent issue.
And I think it gets to be this thing where he's got the injuries, he's got replacement players in there. The problem is he might be calling plays for a first team that is since now missing a player or two in the backfield, or he's got some sort of a problem like that. Now, at first, when I thought when Matt LaFleur kept on saying, it's on me as the coach, I thought, well, he's just covering for players making mental errors. And I'm telling you, not necessarily. I mean, I think he was pretty upfront with this breakdown. It's like, no, my menu started running out of plays in certain downs and situations, and what their defense was throwing at us, the timing, something maybe a referee called that got us off the track, a play called, that kind of confusion. So you get to be in the middle of the second half, and Aaron Rodgers is calling another timeout instead of taking a delay of game. And so, I thought this was interesting. LaFleur was saying, in the first half, go ahead, burn a timeout. But, in the second half, if it's in the middle of the third quarter or early fourth quarter, depending on the situation, you might take the 5-yard penalty. So you can still have at least 2 timeouts when you get to the 2-minute warning in a tight ball game like that. So LaFleur was asked about, is that the way you should approach it during a game?
Yeah, I think that always plays a part of it in terms of the thought process. But I just think just the situation of the game, having the lead, knowing how valuable each play was, I thought in terms of it wasn't worth it in that situation. But absolutely, I think every game's a little bit different in terms of, do you want to take the 5-yard penalty or burn the timeout? I would say, as a rule of thumb, in the first half of games, it's not even a question, right? You burn the timeout. But when you talk about the second half and how valuable those are, especially in a tight game, that's where it becomes a real question. So ultimately, I've got to do a better job to not allow that to happen. I feel like that was probably our worst performance in terms of just that whole management of the timeouts and the clock. And that falls on me.
Let's do this. We're going to step away and take a quick break. Talking with Mike Clemens, our Green and Gold Insider with NFL Sirius Radio, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit more regarding Aaron Rodgers and getting ready to take on the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and what Mahomes is dealing with and such. Hang in there. We got a lot more broadcasting live down here at Potowatomi Casino, hotel and casino, and enjoying ourselves. Beautiful place. Always love it down here. We've done numerous shows down here before, a lot of times over in the Fire Pit Sports Bar and Grill, but this time we're at the 360 Bar, as behind me, the table gaming is back. It opened today with a nice donation of $5,000 to Fisher House, Wisconsin. So thanks to Potowatomi, thanks to Bally Sports, where you can catch the Brewers and the Bucks action. So thanks to them as well. Stay tuned. Final segment, Bill Michaels Show, next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Need to get away this winter? Then it's time to plan one at Pine Mountain Resort, the Upper Peninsula's premier ski resort. Pine Mountain Resort is the #1 rated ski resort in Michigan and Wisconsin. Stay in one of the newly renovated rooms at the lodge and take on the mountain, or just sit by the fire in the bar. The Pine Mountain Ski Jump is the tallest man-made ski jump in North America. Take advantage of their ski and stay packages from 1 to 4 nights, or get a season-long pass available now. Book online today at PineMountainResort.com. That's PineMountainResort.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got any plans to watch the football tonight? Tonight? Oh, certainly, yeah. We'll definitely be paying close attention to this game. And, this is I don't buy their record right now. I know that they're as dangerous as anybody. I think a lot of people had them preseason to win the Super Bowl. So I think Kansas City is a dynamic team. They've got explosive playmakers all over the field. It's going to be a great challenge for us. We're going to have a great week of preparation, and I think our guys know that.
Welcome back. Those are the words of Matt LaFleur and Mike Clemens up in Green Bay. Brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau Field. Perfect for that family stay. The Bay Family Restaurant features the home-style cooking 7 days a week. Get a hold of them at Bay Family Motel over there on South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them for reservations. 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441. Or just stop in and check them out via the web. BayMotelGreenBay.com. That is BayMotelGreenBay.com. Mike Clemens joining us up in Green Bay. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show. And so you got, Patrick Mahomes has been ailing, and that team is not playing well defensively. They got their own issues down there in Kansas City, Mike.
It's week 9, Bill. The Kansas City Chiefs are in last place in the AFC West. It's the Raiders. It's the Chargers. They're behind the Broncos now. And they're coming off that 27-3 beatdown from the Titans, and which on top of that, Patrick Mahomes, gets knocked in the head because he's running around and desperate and doesn't seem to have time to throw. And so he was asked if he's okay for this week and for this coming Sunday when they've got to host the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I have full memory of the play. It was just kind of, you get hit pretty hard. Sometimes you just want to lay there and you're embarrassed. I mean, you just got spanked pretty good. I mean, it's kind of been one thing here and there each and every week. So I just got to be better early in the games so we don't get behind like we did.
So, Mike, defensively speaking, they've got some issues on defense. They're hoping to get guys back. It was good news that Za'Darius is heading back to Green Bay. You bring in Whitney Merciless. He's another guy that they're trying to he wants a shot at a Super Bowl and feels like it's a new life here in Green Bay. Defensively, they just got to continue to get better.
So Za'Darius Smith is back in the house. He did tweet, the weekend that he's back in Green Bay and feeling great. All the floor would say was, he's back here, but that's not a day-to-day thing. That's a week-to-week thing, him coming back from back surgery. So, it's great that Za'Darius is in a positive mood. maybe he's out of pain, that type of thing. By the way, Joe Barry and Davante Adams on the COVID list, not expected back before Thursday. So that means, the understanding is that they're actually going through some symptoms. They hope to have them back by Thursday. David Yai, LaFleur's not going to say when he's coming back to play left tackle, just he's continuing to work on it. Same story with MVS and the hamstring problem. And Kevin King, the way Rasul Douglas has played and then coming up with the big play, you wonder, with Kevin King in the shoulder, he was begging to get back on. He thought he was ready. But you wonder if that was a decision, in terms of strategy, that maybe they want to see this Douglas guy more than Kevin King. Jalen Smith, the linebacker they picked up from the Cowboys, he was a healthy scratch the other night. And he did not look happy to me on the sidelines in Arizona Thursday night about that situation. But in the meantime, Aaron Rodgers said it best. I love this guy. I love Whitney Merciless, what he has brought to the team. And some of those sacks you saw him, come up with, or pressures the other night. And he was asked about when he left the Texans, he had offers from 2 or 3 other teams. Did he decide to Green Bay because that was his best chance at a Super Bowl ring?
Yeah, definitely. That definitely contributes to it. But also the mentality as far as from top down, everybody's on the same page, and they invest into their players, into people. When you've got a mentality like that, you just know you're being appreciated, and they're doing everything to invest in you, and you want to invest back into that. So, to experience something like that is awesome.
So now, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but Matt LaFleur, it's. I want to go back to something that you had talked about. Whitney Merciless, obviously wanting to come to Green Bay to get a win, but Matt LaFleur took all the onus on himself in that post game when it came to play calling and talking about needing to do better and such. Do you get the sense, Mike, and this was the discussion the other day, will Matt LaFleur will Aaron Rodgers ever give an indication as to who calls what? Or is it the personnel package sent out by the coach with the ability to option out of a particular play to Aaron Rodgers, or is Aaron Rodgers doing, because it was just eerily similar to things we've seen in the past, where all of a sudden you're first and goal, second and goal, third and goal, and you're in shotgun with an empty backfield. And we've seen this time and again. Does it make sense?
I don't think it's Rodgers padding his passing stats. I think it's Rodgers saves any coach more often than we will ever know sometimes about whether to go run or pass from what he sees on the line. We also know that Aaron Rodgers, though, it's tough to be his teammate because he's playing on some third level. He's going to make changes at the line, and you better be ready for it because he's a perfectionist and refuses to just run into some defensive formation that he thinks is going to fail, and he's not going to take the hit for that. So you better make that adjustment in your pass protection, your blocking, that kind of a situation. The other thing gets back to this lineup situation. So, you got to find a third running back to replace Kylan Hill, done for the year with the ACL, and a kick returner. They can plug in Malik Taylor like they did the other night to get started. But then that tight end situation. Tunyon was one of your biggest producers. You were hoping to get there. His replacement is supposed to be Josiah DeGuara, who I was very high on, but LaFleur was really high on before he went down with the ACL. And I'm telling you, from what we heard today from DeGuara, his confidence isn't there. I don't think he's back mentally from the ACL that he suffered last year. It looks a little bit bigger to him right now, and I think they're nervous about where he's at. Dominic Gaffney is more a blocking guy, a fullback kind of guy, but who knows? Maybe they are in play to try and replace more of a receiver type in Tunyon. Those guys are hard to find.
Mike, good stuff. So we're waiting to find out on test for Davante and for Joe Barry, and as soon as we can get him back is on Thursday, correct?
Right. And in the meantime, we're not going to get tested in the meanwhile if we're getting on the plane, but I'm getting on the plane Saturday and headed to Arrowhead. Wish me luck. but because otherwise I think this is going to be a hell of a football game.
Yeah, hopefully it is, and hopefully the Packers come out on the winning side. Mike, good stuff as always. We'll talk later in the week, okay?
Thank you, Billy.
See you, pal. There you go. That's Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. And that's going to kind of do it for today. I want to say thanks again to everybody. Thanks to my buddy Jay down here with media relations for Potowatomi Hotel Casino. To Ryan Amundsen, I should say, for joining us, to Dominic Ortiz, the CEO, for being here with us. Thanks to Bally Sports for making the contribution to Fisher House, Wisconsin for $5,000. Dario Melendez. Thanks to our guests today. Everybody down here, like I said, hospitality-wise, it's been fantastic. The casinos are open. The gaming tables are open. If you want to stop in, you can. We're inch by inch by inch crawling back towards a sense of normalcy. So thanks, everybody, for being a part of the program. Time for us to go. Have a good one.